This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with James O'Brien.
Good morning, it's 3 minutes after 10. I think we should start with Vinny, who's managed to put a smile on my face, but it is a bit niche. It is what we call an in-joke. Vinny says, "Good morning, James. I really want to commend you on the quality of yesterday's show, but I have absolutely no recollection of what it was about." You can listen back on Global Player, although that happens to me quite a lot, Vinny. So sometimes by the time LBC app, or Global Player, but LBC app, top of the tree. Sometimes I can't remember what we've done on the show by the time I get home, even before I get home. But I don't know that that's a sign of any of the things that we were discussing yesterday. It's more a sign that we've been doing it together for so long. 4 minutes after 10, and a doctor's strike on the horizon. Imminent, in fact. One that I honestly didn't think would happen. I don't remember whether I told you or not that I thought that they would come to a settlement on this one, but I certainly told the producer, because she's been reminding me all morning that it looks like I got this one horribly wrong. And the reason I think I got it wrong was because I did what I sometimes urge you not to do, and I allowed my feelings, perhaps, to overwhelm the facts. And I don't know even that. So let me read you two texts which pretty much sum up where I am this morning. The first is from Dave. I supported the junior doctors the whole time, or the resident doctors as they are now known, with the last administration, as I thought they were being poorly treated. I will not support them under any circumstances if they take strike action, as they are acting in bad faith with the current administration, who have done more than the Conservative government did in almost a decade and a half. I hadn't thought of it like that, and I'm reminded of the memo that was leaked and written by the last head of the either the BMA or the Junior Doctors Committee of the BMA, saying, give them a year and then they'll be really vulnerable and we'll go back and hit them again. So that sort of fits with Dave's analysis. But Valerie writes, I fully support the strikes. I'm a GP now, but I was a resident doctor until 2023. Resident doctors have huge out-of-pocket expenses. For example, college examination fees, Royal College fees, GMC fees, indemnity fees. Pay hasn't kept up with the poor working conditions demanded from them. They are often shunted around the country, away from family and relationship networks, and expected to find accommodation at short notice because job allocations are often late. And I can't choose on this one. I sometimes derive enormous comfort from the knowledge or the little catchphrase about if you support every single strike, then in some ways you're almost as stupid as the people who oppose every single strike. And often the arguments about what the striking people are after boil down to, well, I haven't got that, so why should they have it? Which again has always struck me as being somewhat illogical. Thank you to Mark for telling me I did say it on air. Thank you. Everyone's a bloody critic. I look at the situation and think that I don't understand why people say, well, my pension's not that good, so you shouldn't have it either, because that usually sounds a bit like somebody arguing that because they got mugged last night, they want everybody else to be mugged tomorrow. I have not got the thing that you've got, or I have suffered a grievance that you have not suffered. Therefore, I want you to suffer it, rather than, hang on, I want that thing you've got, so I'm going to do whatever it is you've done, like join a trade union or engage in some collective bargaining or find some leverage with my employer. I'm going to try and get what you've got. But it doesn't seem to work like that. And I can normally see through it. I can also normally track the way that elements of the media, the right-wing newspapers most obviously, seed the ground for industrial disputes. It's no great mystery. It used to be a mystery to me because I wasn't really paying attention. But the big mystery to me used to be how people can end up acting against their own interests. How you can end up persuading workers to be anti-worker. But that's really easy to do. You can persuade people to be opposed to absolutely anything, up to and including their own interests. And I can normally see through that. But some of the stuff I'm reading, and not from sort of dodgy think tanks that are secretly funded and based in the environs of London's leafy Tufton Street, by the Nuffield Trust, no less, looking at the claims about how far below 2010 levels doctors' pay is. And it is below 2010 levels. We'll get back to that. But it is only between 4 and 10% below 2010 levels, according to the Nuffield Trust's analysis. And I don't know about you, but an awful lot of people will be, like for like, pound for pound, a little bit below their 2010 levels. That's what a cost of living crisis and things like Brexit do to a country. So I don't know. I can't get past, I'll be completely honest with you, I can't get past the chronology of the offer. I can't get past the fact that a 22% rise was agreed last year for 23-24 and 24-25. And the latest claim is for 29%. They've turned down the 5 and a bit percent that was on offer. And that, I think, is... I know we're not all in England, sorry. I know this doesn't apply to Scotland, but listen, if your mum's waiting for an operation, mine isn't, by the way, but if you were waiting for an operation in England, it would seem an odd thing to do to not talk about this because it doesn't apply to my listeners in Scotland. I'm wrestling with a sort of innate feeling, which is perhaps a little bit lazy, a little bit undergraduate, that we should always be on the doctor's side when the doctors go on strike. And with a sense that they're just not reading the room. That the deal breaker here, when it comes to whether or not you are going to offer your support, the deal breaker here is the size of the last settlement 1 year ago. And that's what I want you to talk to me about. Is that the insuperable problem? Is that why this time it feels so different from last time? And of course, the problem we have together is that last time, all of the people that were opposing it will also be opposing it this time. And in large part, they're not really people that you might want to hop into bed with. And their arguments haven't changed at all. They might seize upon the fact that the 22% rise was agreed last year and therefore this time it's unconscionable. But they were opposed to that one as well. So like Dave, those of us who were fully behind the last round of industrial action, reluctantly, of course, because you always wish it doesn't come to that. Those of us who were fully behind the last industrial action can, in some cases, not get behind the latest round because, very simply put, you got so much last year. And almost everybody, particularly in the public sector, is suffering similarly, if not quite as acutely, suffering similarly. And that's what we're going to talk about today. 0345 6060 973 is the number. Why are you supporting the doctors? If you're a doctor, why do you deserve the support of people who can't even dream of the 22% pay rise that you achieved last year? That I think is the crucial question. And what I'd also like you to do, I'm not 100% happy with where I'm sitting this morning. I don't mean ergonomically, it's a lovely chair. The view's not great, but I'm not 100% happy with where I'm sitting this morning. And I'd quite like you to explain to me why last year's settlement, one of the first things Wes Streeting did when he arrived at the Department of Health was to give what I would call an eye-watering pay increase to resident doctors. I'm 22%. Just have a think, okay, right now. I don't know how much you took home last month. Just add, give or take, add a quarter. Add a quarter to what you took home last month. I know that tax, and I know that is a little bit lazy and the mathematics aren't. Well, okay, don't even add it to what you took home. Add it to your gross. Add it to your gross pay last month. Add a quarter to that and just have a little think about how much that changes your life. I know talking about percentages can sometimes be unhelpful because, 100% of nothing is still nothing. But I can't get past this. Maybe you can help me get past it, or maybe I'm right to not be able to get past it. Stick a quarter on last year's or last month's gross income. Get your pay slip, have a look at the gross before tax, give or take, stick a quarter on it, and now tell me how you could support anybody, let alone resident doctors, demanding another 29%. 0345 6060 973. I get paid more than resident doctors do. Don't waste 10 sending me a text pointing that out. And there is a moral universe in which that is repellent. But it's also life, and it's not really relevant to this conversation. I can't support every single person who goes on strike that earns less than me simply because they earn less than me. So I don't think that lands. I don't think that matters. Do I think doctors get paid enough? No, I don't. I genuinely don't think that doctors get paid enough. But I don't think that you can justify a 29% pay increase after a 22% was handed down only last year. I'm getting these figures from The Guardian this morning, so I mean, a couple of people questioning them. I don't think I've misread the fact. The BMA is seeking a 29% rise for resident doctors who are preparing to strike tomorrow to grant what it considers to be full pay restoration. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, has called this demand completely unreasonable after he gave a 22% rise last year for 23-24 and 24-25. And I mean, that language it's workable, isn't it? Completely unreasonable. So is that the stumbling block? Is that a reasonable stumbling block? And is it a big enough stumbling block to see your traditional and historic support for doctors disappear this time? And listen, I don't know how helpful it would be for me to talk to somebody, to talk to you, if you're always opposed to the doctors. You're always down with doctors. We should pay them nothing. It'd be like Goneril and Regan in King Lear talking about how many soldiers their dad should have when he comes to visit their castles, and it ends with that chilling line, "What need one?" I don't think there's much point in engaging in that, because I'm interested, as I'm always most interested in changing minds. I suppose, Martin, you might be right. Not talking about my pay, talking about MPs' pay. They always get their pay increases, but again, in international terms, they're not paid a particular fortune. Should doctors be... Most doctors will end up earning more than MPs later in their career. Some resident doctors already do. Does anybody get paid enough? Asks Brian, I think quite reasonably. But today's conversation is about tomorrow's industrial action. It stinks, doesn't it, on a national level, to have a country where doctors go on strike, or where teachers go on strike, or where firefighters go on strike. It speaks to a lack of concern from power for essential workers. I love that phrase. I didn't used to like it, but I love the phrase essential workers. A lack of concern from power for essential workers. And this is where I might have to cough to a little bit of footballification. I don't think anyone would accuse... Well, that's not true, because somebody will. But I don't see a lack of concern for essential workers in the Labour government. I did see it in the Conservative government. You can hear it in callers sometimes. Contempt for doctors. How the hell did they pull that one off? Who do you really hate? Doctors. Oh, and teachers. Yeah, but not as much as train drivers. I don't see that in the Labour government. Perhaps you think I'm an idiot, or perhaps you think that my biases have overtaken my brain. But if you don't see that, then you don't have to support this round of industrial action. True or false? 0345 6060 973 is the number you need. It's 10:16.
James O'Brien on LBC.
17 is the time. I love you, James, writes Craig, but I do disagree with your characterisation of Tufton Street. It does have the odd tree, but I wouldn't go so far as to call it leafy. Oh, the floodgates are open this week. 18 after 10 is the time, and the question of whether or not it's fair and reasonable to cite last year's 22% pay rise as a reason not to support this year's imminent industrial action in pursuit of another 29%. Is it reasonable? Are you, like me, struggling to get past this? And if you're not, how did you? 0345 6060 973. Phil's in Oxford. Phil, what would you like to say?
Oh, hi, James. Good to talk to you again. This, for me, is a classic case of cognitive dissonance. Because yes. For me, personally, I have been pushing, and I never liked the Tories. I dislike...
Oh, no. No, hang on a minute. I think the Tory bot kicked in then. As soon as you said I never liked the Tories, your line got cut off. But I think you're back now, hopefully to stay. Is he back now to stay? Well, carry on, Phil.
Thank you very much. Thanks for restoring me. And I thought what the Labour government did, the doctors last year, was absolutely brilliant. The cognitive dissonance kicks in now because the doctors know they have got a sympathetic government at last in place who are taking the NHS seriously, and they are proving that with treatment expenditure as well as the pay rise they gave. We know the state of public finances.
I'm going to call time on the phone line, Phil. I'm terribly sorry. It might just be a quick shower, or it might be an early bath. I'm not sure yet, but it just didn't sustain, unfortunately. The quality of the phone line was far below the quality of your contribution. 90 minutes after 10 is the time. And I think he's got a point. But I don't know whether... Well, listen to this from Carl before we talk to Nick in Holland Park. I wonder, James, if there is a correlation between those that think the doctors shouldn't strike and those who have had no interaction with a hospital in recent times. Many of those who haven't will sit at home appalled at the thought of them wanting a rise. Those who have had a recent hospital stay will undoubtedly see how hard they work, the hours they put in, and all the while still finding time and effort to support and reassure their patients. That, Carl, is actually quite a troubling point, because now you've made me feel guilty. I've had quite a lot of interactions with hospitals in recent years. Most recently, they patched me up when I gashed my head open falling off a line bike. And that was a real sort of A&E experience, and the people that I encountered were absolutely frazzled and brilliant and committed and kind and compassionate and caring and underpaid. And yet here I am, gob on a stick, sitting on the radio saying, you got 22% last year, so just pipe down for a while. But I am still saying that. So there may be a correlation, but it ain't currently working on me. Nick's in Holland Park. Nick, what do you think?
Oh, hi, James.
Hello, Nick.
Is there a difference between the strikes a year and a half ago, and they dragged on for some months to my memory, like almost the last 6 months of the Conservative administration?
Yes.
There seemed to be strikes all the time. Is there a difference in that? I remember then a lot of people, and I have to say it was the Conservatives and the right-wing press, all saying this is this is all politicised, and they're trying to sort of, bring down the government. And did a lot of people, was that true at the time? Now, as soon as Labour came in and settled, I thought, yeah, well, maybe that was true. And love and peace was supposed to break out. But now, suddenly, a year on, it doesn't look like that, because they're doing damage to Labour as well. So you could almost say, if you wanted to look at it that way, fair play to them. They weren't doing it politically a year and a half ago. It wasn't about politics. It was just about, let's have more money.
Or it is simply a case of believing passionately that they deserve full pay restoration and they will not sleep until it has been achieved, which you could argue is the job of the Resident Doctors Committee of the BMA. It is their bread and butter, their raison d'etre, their sole purpose in that part of their life. And it doesn't matter who's in power or who's in charge, their loyalty is to their members and their members only.
James, I think that's absolutely right. But of course, why should anyone be surprised? Because even though they have some kind of nice-sounding association title, or whatever they're called, they are the trade union for doctors.
Seeking full pay restoration, not seeking any more than they would have got if the graph had risen steadily and incrementally since 2008 or 2010. And I mentioned both of those years because the figures do actually change a bit according to which starting point you pick, and that's a little unhelpful.
Yeah, I
so did you support the last lot?
I don't support James. Me, I'm at the other end of the spectrum. I'm one of the stupid people who never ever support a strike, because I find the balance. I was listening to your monologue. I find the balance breathtaking, that anyone, it doesn't matter whether it's Amazon warehouse workers, the NHS, the bin men are allowed to go on strike. It's in Birmingham. It's so one-sided. They can go on strike and withdraw labour and effectively blackmail their employer. And in this case, the doctors aren't only blackmailing the employer, they're blackmailing the government and all of us who use the NHS. And yet employers can't withdraw their employment. It's so lopsided. Of course they can't.
What? No one's ever been sacked.
When's the last time in 40 years?
No one's ever been sacked.
Well, hold on a second. Exactly. When's the last time in 40 years that the NHS or any state or actually any private company did a Ronnie Reagan and just said, you're back to work in 3 days or you're all fired? No one. It doesn't exist. The legislation doesn't exist.
Oh, you mean sacking them for striking?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I thought because you said they couldn't withdraw. They couldn't withdraw the job. Okay, you're right. We are on very different political levels. In your world, there'd still be children working in mills and going up chimneys. Women wouldn't have it. It's not because all of the things that have been achieved by the trade union movement over the years, you disapprove of.
not only the trade unions, anyone that goes on strike, because I can't. Okay, strike. Yes, I'm not saying people shouldn't go on strike. They should be allowed to. But no, I'm not. You're not.
Okay, but an employer should be allowed to sack everyone who does go on strike, which is a sort of de facto ban on striking. Okay, I mean, at least you're honest. And if you don't know, I mean, it's always a little embarrassing when someone you've described as stupid in theory reminds you of those words in practice. But I do believe I would be stupid if I supported every single strike called by every single workforce at every single point in life. And that would make me almost as stupid as somebody who is opposed to every single strike caused by every single workforce at every single point in life. Every single one being the operative point. I mean, P&O Ferries. So P&O Ferries would be next dream employer. The idea that you can sort of fire an entire workforce and then just rehire people on vastly reduced terms and conditions and increase your profits exponentially and accordingly. 10:25 is the time. Phil's in Stockport. Phil, what would you like to say?
I know Mystery Hour's a couple of hours away, but I have a question. I genuinely don't understand.
Hang on a minute, Keith, have you got the round of applause ready? Carry on.
I genuinely don't understand why doctors have to pay fees for their exams or university fees. Surely, I'm sure that teachers don't have to pay them. So why can't we let doctors not have to pay these fees? That's effectively a pay rise straight away. And the condition to that being that they've got to stay in the NHS for a period of time, after which, if they go off...
Do you mean their training? Do they have to pay for their training? Or do you mean for sitting the actual exams?
Well, they have to pay for sitting the exams. They have to pay for their training as well. For their
well, everybody has to pay. I mean, tuition fees. I don't know if anyone gets their tuition fees waived. Do they these days? Everyone has to take out loans to study.
I think teachers do.
I could
be wrong. I
think you might be. It is turning into Mystery Hour, this, isn't it? What are your qualifications?
I'm a driver. I haven't got any qualifications.
You and me both. So I think you pay for your PGCE. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, let's say that you do, and that completely undermines your point.
Yeah, it does. It does. But I don't understand.
That was very easy.
I don't understand why they should have to pay for their exams, and I don't understand why nurses equally have to pay for a licence.
No, okay, I get all of that, and I don't know what the answer is. If I get somebody better qualified than you and me on the line, Phil, I will ask them to explain a little more detail. But is that enough for you to support a strike in pursuit of a 29% pay rise a mere year after a 22% pay rise?
I'm like you, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I want to support them, but I can't this time.
No. I wonder what the magic bullet is here. I wonder what the tablet is that we need to take in order to just feel our natural empathy and solidarity kick back in, or whether it is actually intellectually and emotionally reasonable not to have it in this round, of industrial action. Thank you, Phil. Have a good day. Neil's in Alton in Staffordshire. Neil, what would you like to say?
Good morning, James.
Hello, Neil.
James, I fully support actually their claim to this pay rise for bringing their pay back parity where it should be after years of neglect. And I think the difficulty they have...
But forgive me.
Okay.
Years of neglect, but not the last year.
Not the last year, but
they haven't been neglected by the government that's currently in power. And to expect them to undo 14 years of neglect in 14 months... I would argue, and I'll let you continue shortly, but I would argue that was a slightly unreasonable expectation.
Okay, yeah, I get the perception of that. I mean, I've got personal experience of this from the fire service when we went on strike for a big pay rise after years of neglect, and we got all the same pushback. But what needs carefully explaining, and I think this is where the doctors have got to get their communication together, is they need to carefully explain how far behind their pay has fallen through years of neglect of addressing the issue, year on year to get to where they are now. And yes, why it seems like a big leap to bring them back to where they should be. If you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? You're just going to kick the problem further down the road, and at some point
they've been offered 5 point something. And so that, wouldn't be the final word on the subject, would it? So they get the big chunk on day one, give or take, and then they get above inflation pay rises for the foreseeable, and eventually things catch up with where they want to be. I'm sounding perhaps a little naive, but here we are.
That could be a solution. For the next, 3 years, having a sizable increase to bring them where they need to be, and that may well be a better way of window dressing it for to make it more palatable. But I still think they have to explain more thoroughly.
This is where we come to the this is where we come to the hourly rate, isn't it? And the argument that they deserve more than, let's just say, £17 or £19 an hour sounds a lot more powerful than the argument that they deserve a 29% pay rise a year after a 22% pay.
Absolutely. Well, and when you compare to what doctors in other countries are paid, and also not just how much they're paid, how they're regarded by their governments, as pillars, one of the very important pillars of society, isn't it? To have a medical profession in place that can care.
Well, this might be. Is this where we diverge? Because one of my real baptisms by fire in industrial relations was actually the firefighter strike. Not long after I started work here, and I was absolutely staggered when I heard people in my line of work speak about people in your old line of work with genuine contempt. Genuine contempt. It was absolutely stunning. And I think there's a huge difference between the Labour movement's attitude to the NHS and the Conservative parties. You I sense, do not at the moment.
No, I agree.
Oh,
I think the current government has a much more sympathetic approach to them, but and I understand the stance they're taking now in not wanting to be seen to be caving in, to a big pay rise. And I think I think what the word there about is perception. How they're being perceived by the population is just, spending frivolously or caving into another, what's perceived, I suppose, as a trade union. Is effectively.
Yeah. Nick in Holland Park was more than happy to lump the doctors in with every other trade union on the grounds that they're all bad and they're all wrong and they should all be fired next time they threaten to go on strike. But you're not enough of a distinction between the last government and the current government for you to come out against this round of industrial action. I respect that, and yet I can't feel a single inch of budge in the position of those of us who think that last year's rise is the deal breaker here. And that's what I mean. How do you get past that, I wonder? 03456060973. Thank you, Neil. Look, the money is, according to the best available information, your foundation year. I'll tell you after the headlines with Thomas Watts.
James O'Brien on LBC.
35 is the time. A little bit of housework. Teachers absolutely do pay for their training, so we can put the Phil in Stockport argument squarely to bed. And the numbers for junior doctors in England range from 36.5 grand to just shy of 74, depending on how far into the process you are. So by the time you become a higher specialty registrar, you're over the £60,000 threshold. However, I haven't double-checked this number, but I've got no reason to doubt it. Scottish junior doctor's starting salary is 45.5, which is just about £13,000 more than a English junior doctor. And yet, all of these points are vulnerable to a slightly lazy knee-jerk response. Yeah, but you got 22% last year. And of course, the final bit of housework is that I keep banging the 29% drum. That is what they're asking for. They would settle for much less than that, I believe. I mean, I think I'm going to be wrong about this industrial action not going ahead. I thought resolution would be reached, but I do think that if it did end, it would not be exclusively and uniquely in the event of a 29% settlement being agreed. It's a haggle, isn't it? It's a negotiation. It's a starting point. You start at 29% and have an idea in your head of what you would accept. I don't think that's a particularly controversial insight, but it creates a different mood, doesn't it, to just insisting that they're demanding 29%. 10:37 is the time. So, is it reasonable to respond to every well-thought-out, well-evidenced and well-reasoned, compassionate and kind argument in support of the industrial action this year by pointing out that they got 22% last year, by pointing out that you got 22% last year. Pauline is in Ayrshire. Pauline, what would you like to say?
Yeah, so I was in the same sort of position as you, James, where I couldn't, when it was first announced, I was a bit like, again? But as a hardcore socialist, I felt I had to work on that, and a trade unionist. There's no way that I could just settle on that.
Yeah.
So the resolve that I've come to is their pay has been significantly destroyed over the last 15 years. And there needs to be action to be able to start making more progress towards that pay restoration. And as you were rightly saying there, they're saying 29%, but it's a negotiation tool. Do you know what I mean? We don't put in that and expect to get the 29%. And I think, for me, a key factor is they are workers. They have their pay has been frozen for so many years, and they need pay restoration. If we can, as a nation, can afford to increase spending on warfare, why can we not increase spending on workers' wages?
Well, we have. We've increased it by 22%. We haven't increased military spending by 22%.
Absolutely shouldn't be increasing military spending by 22%. But
some people think World War III might be just around the corner, but I prefer to point out that Mystery Hour is. I don't know how helpful that is. I don't want to bite anybody's head off today, but my inbox will always fill up with, why are we spending money on this and that and this and that and this and that and this? And maybe they're all valid points. Maybe bringing military spending into it is a valid point, but what if it isn't?
I think we need to think about like the budgetary priorities, and actually still funding Israel through a genocide is not the best way for money from the UK to be spent. So that's why
that's weapons grade whataboutery, isn't it? Really. In terms, it's weapons grade whataboutery. The long list of things that you would rather a government spent money on is, and you're more than welcome to put that at the top of it. It doesn't really address the fact that they got 22% last year. 22%. I think you've been a bit dishonest. I don't think you were ever torn about this, Pauline.
I absolutely was torn. My initial reaction was, is this okay, given that the rest of the NHS is still fighting for a minimal pay rise and has been since the pandemic?
Yeah, but I'm not coming at it from that point. This is the obstacle in front of me, is a giant, enormous 22% pay rise last year, and I can't get round that to see the argument for another pay rise, albeit that it wouldn't be as high as 29% this year. 10:40 is the time. Thank you, Pauline. Abby is in Amersham. Abby, what would you like to say?
Oh, hi, James.
Hello.
I think broadly I agree with you. I was fully supportive of the strikes last time, as I was with all the public sector strikes under the Tory government, because clearly they ran our public sector into the ground.
Well, the graphs are stunning. I mean, particularly the tail off in about 2019. I'm not very good at reading the graph. I need a ruler, but you are simply right. The plummeting pay around the end of the last decade is unconscionable. Yeah,
and so I was fully behind them through all the Tory government and all of the public sector, not specific to the doctors in any way. But now I'm a fierce pragmatist, which is why I think we need to give Keir Starmer a little bit of time. And I come at this with a bit of a slightly different angle, because I think that they need to carry on negotiating. I really think that they shouldn't be striking at this point, but there needs to be continued negotiation. But something that needs to be incorporated into that negotiation is their pensions for public sectors. Now, I'm about to become a teacher, so I will be a public sector worker.
Right.
But the difference between pensions in the public sector and pensions in the private sector is a chasm. It's absolutely enormous what you are able to put in tax-free as in the private sector.
And the employer contribution as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think
but isn't that something we should cherish and protect?
What, for the public sector?
Yeah.
I think it should be part of the negotiation because I think it increases. I think it increases that feeling of people who don't work in the public sector of the public sector getting something that is impossible for them to achieve outside of that sector. So I just think it should be incorporated.
And I like the way I like the way that it defines the distinction between the public sector and the private sector. I've always seen it as recognise the vocational aspect of your motivation as opposed to the materialist aspect of everybody else's. Myself included.
But then I think that if it stays in place, then any conversation that they have about pay needs to incorporate that because they are in a completely different situation as friends of mine approach.
Did you support the last lot? Did you support the last industrial?
Fully.
I believe you.
To be honest, I fully. I mean, I'm left wing. I'm a pragmatist.
You're a fierce pragmatist, Abby. A fierce pragmatist.
Fierce pragmatist.
My first band was called the Fierce Pragmatists.
I mean, it's not necessarily a trendy thing to be at the moment, but that's definitely where I'm coming from. I just think that
I think I might be as well on this. Actually, I don't know how fierce I am, but I think pragmatism is probably the best word, or at least the nicest word.
And I also think that so I think it needs to be considered in the round. The negotiations need to continue, but considering every factor of their pay. If they want to be paid more similar to the private sector, then they also need to look at the pensions that they have that the private sector don't get. It needs to be considered in the round.
And sometimes it doesn't need to be considered in the round, like last time, because we were both fully supportive of both the industrial action and the 22% settlement. But things changed. Facts change. And when the facts change, minds should perhaps change. I like that. Fierce pragmatism. That's got a wonderful ism. Carrie's in Whitehaven. Carrie, what would you like to say?
I'm coming at this from a human perspective, the worker.
Yeah.
And I work third sector mental health crisis recovery.
Crikey.
I haven't done a degree for reasons, one of them being that I can't count. I
shouldn't hold you back, Carrie.
We'll see when I get to pension age, won't we?
Liz Truss became Prime Minister.
Well, yeah, there's that. Oh dear, that letter. We not her, the actual letter.
Yes, I remember. Go on.
We in my area of work, we are trained on the job. We are trained in CBT, DBT, all that.
Cognitive behavioural therapy, various talking therapies. Yes.
Yep. So that's the core aspect of what we do. I'm currently studying my MVQ level 3 in my 40s.
Good for you.
I am third sector living wage worker, and my wages reflect my skill set.
Right. I don't think they do, actually.
Well, as it
that's a crucial
stands,
part of this. Well, I mean, maybe
Yeah.
I don't even know for fierce pragmatists whether they do or not. What I think we can say better, and forgive me for being a bit patronising, is that your wages reflect the perception, society or power's perception of your skill set.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's also, the money situation to consider.
Yes.
However, we've got these doctors who are training for 7 years.
Yes.
They have to pay for that. They have to get into work, pay back all this money that they have borrowed to get to where they are.
They do. But they still get paid a heck of a lot more than you do. So your argument is that society should reflect the value of their skill set more accurately, and therefore you're in favour. So you're in favour. And tell me how you get past the 22% roadblock that I currently can't drive around.
I refuse to work in percentages. I look at how much it costs me to live.
Yeah, but I'm saying they got 22% last year, therefore they need to pipe down for a while.
To the pound. Yeah, but if you break it down to the pound and look at work done, work being done, hours spent, skill set.
So this is it, isn't it? And you don't feel any... Because I've got a horrible feeling that I have, by a process of sort of propaganda osmosis, I might have accidentally absorbed some of the arguments that I'm normally so careful and so keen to push back against. Because you're essentially saying, Oh, wind your neck in, James. £36,616 starting salary for an F1 foundation year doctor is simply nowhere near high enough. We should be a society.
They've got dozens of lives in their hands every hour.
Yeah. And that should reflect it. I don't care what pay rise they got last year. If someone is in a hole and your job is to pull them out, you don't say, well, I've pulled you halfway out. Can you just shut up now and pipe down for a while?
I won't word it like that, but, you do you.
I was quite proud of that one, Carrie. You're pulling someone out of a hole. You can't say, all right, I've pulled you halfway out, shut up now, and you'd be grateful.
Oh, no, that's it.
It's really good, that. That's a brilliant analogy.
It was beautiful, thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
I like to simplify things, and, I could not do what they do. I certainly would not put that amount of time, effort, blood, sweat and tears into the amount of training that they need to then go out and do the job they do on the hours they do them on, plus overtime.
I hear, and then of course, what I have somewhat arrogantly dismissed as whataboutery comes back to bite me on the bum, doesn't it? Because I'm about to say, oh, they can't afford it, at which point perhaps the list of things that they currently can afford does become pertinent and relevant, because what you've done successfully and what I have failed with so far is to express the urgency of this moment.
Wow, I've managed to change your mind. I've been listening for years.
Hang on a minute, it's swinging. The pendulum is swinging, but it ain't swung.
Hey, as long as it's moving.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, seriously. 10:48 is the time. That if you start from that point, what society's relationship with its medics should be, none of the numbers I've been using so far this morning matter. Oh, boy. Thank you, Carrie. 10:49 is the time.
James O'Brien on LBC.
52 is the time. I like this from Fred in Guildford because it is pithy, and we are fans of the pithy. You know they're underpaid. You know they deserve better. You want them to stay in the job and the country. You support their right to strike. So why would you oppose this strike? Are you just maths fused? Fred actually sent that in relatively close to the top of the hour, long before Carrie gave me a bit of a talking to, or at least a bit of an education. Because that is emotional as well as intellectual, isn't it? That starting salary. What does the starting salary of a junior doctor, a resident doctor, tell you about the value that society places on them, the value that all of our society places on them? So the earlier caller, who doesn't like any strikes ever, would answer that question as little as you can get away with. At which point the natural obstacles to low pay become attrition and resignation. But they're already kicking in. Doctors leaving the country. I don't know what the numbers are, but they're real numbers as opposed to the claims about billionaires. And that, I think, is how you place a value on something. It's not by just market forces. It has to have an emotional dimension. And listen, I'm pretty sure I would have said that. I probably have said that before I saw Michael Sheen in Nye at the National Theatre a couple of weeks ago. But I defy you to go and watch that play, to come out of that theatre without feeling a very profound sense of relationship with the National Health Service as envisioned by that politician. The producer wants to know whether I cried or not. What do you think? How long have we worked together? Of course I cried. I can cry at DIY SOS. But yes, I cried at Nye. It's 10:54. Giovanni is in Newcastle. Giovanni, what would you like to say?
Hi, James.
Hello, mate.
Please forgive me. It's my first time calling, so I'm feeling a little bit nervous.
It's only me. It's only me.
So, full context, I'm a medical registrar, working up in Newcastle. I graduated in 2017. I did strike last time round. This time round, I won't be striking. Yeah.
Why not? So are you STCT 1 to 2?
I'm ST4.
Oh, okay.
Coming up to ST5.
Right. So you're near the top of the training, as it were.
I've got 4 more years of neurology training, but before I become a consultant. But yeah, so
for a resident doctor, you're very much at the upper end of earnings at the moment.
Yeah. Do
you think that's relevant?
Probably, yeah. I think, especially for junior doctors coming in early on, they probably will be feeling that their pay isn't as good as it should be. But I'm quite conflicted about this, yes. And I did agree with the strikes last time round. But my main feeling this time round is that we have a Labour government who has shown very willing, to work with unions and have given us a good pay rise as soon as they could.
Yeah.
And I think, I was listening to one of your programs before where you said, not now, lads.
Yeah.
And it
sounds like me.
It does feel a little bit tone deaf for the BMA to rush straight in with a 5-day strike as quick as they have done. I just feel, my feeling is that, we could have worked with Wed Streeting a little bit more.
I think that's his feeling as well, actually. I mean, it doesn't mean that you're right or that he's right, but I think he's been slightly blindsided by the lack of progress here.
Yeah, and there are things that he's mentioned which gives you a feel that he does understand the problems of junior doctors. He's mentioned the exam fees, he's mentioned the bottlenecks for specialty training jobs, which is a big thing which affects junior doctors.
Yeah.
As part of the reason why we've got big attrition to countries like Australia and New Zealand is because we can't get our resident doctors into the specialty jobs that they want. And I think things like that could be focused on a lot more by the BMA. These are big issues. Just simple things like annual leave being a difficulty for us to get within our training posts, and just for us to focus in on pay as the main issue just feels, especially with the deficit this government has had, and they've had to do big U-turns on the disability allowance.
There is sometimes a naivety to left-wing approaches to public funding, and I don't mean the simplest example of that being, well, if you can pay for this, you can pay for that, or we should give them the money, not them, and that is always going to be pertinent, but it's also always going to be unhelpful in pursuit of the sort of big answers, the final answer. But yeah, I mean, the message the government have been given by their own members in Parliament is that you can't save money anywhere, and that's ridiculous. No one can live like that. No one can survive like that. What about? I don't know if this is a reasonable question to ask. What about my point about society's relationship with doctors? Do you feel now valued?
Well, I mean, the last caller was just brilliant.
Yeah.
To hear those things being said out loud it's wonderful. And we do have a very special job, and I feel very lucky going into work. And you do feel it in clinic when people will mention that they had appointments cancelled or things have been delayed, and we do have a responsibility to the NHS as a profession as well. And I'll be honest, I part of why I'm not striking is I just couldn't look in. I couldn't say to my relatives or to friends who don't work in the NHS that I was striking this time round. I just couldn't do it.
Fair enough. I just want to squeeze in Becky in Hull because I think she is the exact opposite, and you're both resident doctors. So Giovanni couldn't look his family and friends and presumably his patients in the eye and say, we're doing it again. Up for the last one, but not up for this one, Becky. You're up for both of them, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Hi, by the way.
Hello.
I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
So I'm a little bit nervous, but basically, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that my previous colleague kind of speak this way,
yes.
To be honest. Senior residents have a duty to those who follow us in this profession, and we shouldn't be kind of pulling the ladder up. The Labour government haven't moved on pay in this entire negotiation. They've had nearly a year to come to us, and they haven't. And it's not like they've come with
5 and a bit, haven't they?
Well, I mean, if inflation is over 4%, we're looking at 0.9% over inflation.
Yes.
If we were to carry on at that pace, it would take nearly 2 decades to restore our pay. And if we do that, it's far too long. If we don't restore our pay now, it will simply be too late.
And that is the urgency that Carrie conveyed, I think, better than anybody else today, myself included, that sense that this is about how much a doctor is worth. From my slightly dewy-eyed side of the microphone, I was watching Nye at the National Theatre, but actually more pragmatically from your side of the microphone, it's about the nature of the job, what you are worth when you go to work every day.
I mean, more than that, I've always been the first to say that I have the best job in the world.
Yeah, no. I think I do. I do actually.
I'm an obstetric registrar,
right.
So I'm the person who does those emergency cesarean sections in the middle of the night.
Gosh.
I'm the last person somebody wants to see in their labour room,
right.
but the first person to get them into theatre and deliver their baby.
Yes.
But even though I love my job, I couldn't recommend it to anybody coming after me right now.
Because of the terms and conditions?
It's unsustainable. I mean...
I came to you quite late, so I haven't got long, but give me the quick tour of why it's unsustainable.
It's unsustainable because as a doctor, I've got enough to worry about going to work and making all of these decisions. I shouldn't have to be coming back home worrying about paying the bills, worrying about how I'm going to afford my exams.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it hurts because right now, all we're asking for is for doctors to start on £23 an hour. So when they say we've had our pay increase by 22%, that's because we started on £14 an hour and got to 18.
I can't argue with you.
Yeah. So
why do you think they're not doing? Well, they might be trying to do that. What do we want? £23 an hour. When do we want it now? Who's going to stand against that?
Well, the thing is, it's a rounding error in the NHS budget. That's what that is. 0.05% of the NHS budget to call off strikes right now, and it's well within the power of the government to do so. It could do it today. I'd be very happy to meet Mr. Streeting and make that arrangement.
Well, I'll put a call in. What would you take? I mean,
pay restoration.
That's it. It has to be 29%. It has to be £23 an hour. You don't think the BMA would accept?
No, not at all. That's the mandate that we have.
Right.
That's why the reps have been elected, and that is what doctors should be paid. I'm sure we're happy to negotiate on a timeline, but Mr. Streeting is kidding himself if he thinks that giving us meal deals will help instead of a real deal.
Well, there it is. I mean, it's why I think I'm not going to argue with you about who's got the best job in the world. Neither am I going to argue with you about who you would least like to see coming into your labour ward, because obviously the doctor who's going to save you and your baby is probably slightly higher up on the list than a few people we could mention at this point. But two resident doctors in two calls, offering up two completely different positions, and all you have to do is pick your favourite. No offence, Giovanni. I pick Becky.
James O'Brien on LBC.
It's 6 minutes after 11. You're listening to James O'Brien on LBC. Much softer subject now. And, of course, Mystery Hour's on the way at 12. So I'm relaxing a couple of hours together. I find social change absolutely fascinating. You know this. The attitudes. Changing attitudes. And it began as a negative and then became a positive. So it used to be that I'd be a bit rude about people who thought that the world hadn't changed since they were young. And then I would point out, you'd get a call from, I don't know whether is boomer pejorative? Do we think boomer is a bit pejorative? But you'd get a call from people from an older generation who had no sympathy whatsoever with people from a younger generation complaining that they can't get on the housing ladder. And you would have, I don't know why I'm using the second person here, I would have extraordinary conversations with people about an alternative reality in which the ratio of salary to property hadn't exploded. So you would speak to people who were able to buy their first home because it cost about 3.5 times what they were currently earning, often on one salary at the time. Now, if you want to buy a home, you will have to find a multiple of, well, it's much higher, 10, 20, 30 times what you're earning to get on the housing ladder. And the idea, and it was popularised, I presume, by the mainstream media, or whatever you want to call it. There's a piece of the Daily Telegraph today, I'll let you guess who it's by, complaining about the mainstream media, which is absolutely extraordinary when you think about it. If the Daily Telegraph isn't mainstream media, what the hell is? But anyway, I digress. You know how silly it is, and yet somehow, emotionally, we don't accept how much the world has turned since we were there. I caught myself doing it. I've told you this a billion times, forgive me. I caught myself doing it with university. Every time we talked about university, I spoke about it as if tuition fees weren't enormous, as if it wasn't a consideration. The big change came when, actually, lecturers went on strike. And I couldn't believe how angry the students were. We would take calls from students who were really cross that lecturers had gone strike. And I was approaching it with my sort of 1991 sensibilities, where if the lecturers went on strike, it just felt like an extra holiday. I don't think it ever actually happened to me during my undergraduate career, but if it had done, it felt like an actual holiday. For my daughter's generation, my oldest is at university now, they have such a different relationship with learning that they would be affronted if lecturers went on strike, because they would still be paying for their education while not actually getting any. So for me, that's a really good example of how much things have changed. I think an awful lot of opposition to environmental improvements the nice people, for the decent people, it's coming from a good place. For the rotten people, of course, it's coming from trying to protect the wealth of fossil fuel companies and all of the sort of all of the individuals and institutions that depend upon them. But for most of us, if you've been persuaded to be opposed to net zero, for example, it might be in part because you haven't fully grasped how much the world has changed. We can't be that dangerous. My dad drove a car. Cars can't be that dangerous. Why do we need electric cars? Do you see what I mean? It's like you lived through. It didn't do me any harm. It can't be that bad. And that's a generous reading of people who've been successfully manipulated into resisting attempts to slow the destruction of our planet, or our species, actually. The planet will always survive. 10 minutes after 11 is the time. And I caught myself doing that with this story. I'll tell you what, if I asked you now to guess what the next subject is, you wouldn't guess it in a billion years. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? 8 minutes into an introduction, or the main part of waffle, as one listener described it yesterday. I prefer soliloquy. Some people go with monologue. 10 minutes into the introduction this morning, and I don't think a single person, unless you've read the news as closely as I have today, you might have a little inkling of what I'm about to talk about. But I very much doubt it. So I better tell you quickly, because I'm expecting you to ring in a few minutes' time. Young men in UK more likely than women to live with their parents. That's the headline, but it's not the story. The story is the percentage of people, the number of people still living in the parental home. What do you think it is? If I give you men aged between 20 and 34, and obviously if you were to go down to 18, the figure would be even higher. But I'm going to give you the age range of men aged 20 to 34. What percentage of them do you think are still living at home? Still living in the parental home? I kind of want to wait to see if any messages come in, because I'd like to see the guesses. But I've spent so long waffling on about completely unrelated issues that I should probably crack on with the actual phone in. It's a third. So find me 3 men aged between 20 and 34, and one of them will still be living in the parental home. Think about when you were that age. And you see what I mean about social change. But here's the weird thing. I don't want my kids to leave home. I haven't told them this, so keep it under your hat. But I love the idea. I'd never thought I would. If you'd told me 5 years ago, I think when one of them does and then comes home for the summer, you just sort of find yourself thinking, oh, this is lovely. I don't know if I'd feel the same if a partner moved in or something like that. But what I meant when I talked about social change a moment ago was that I would no longer look at a young man still living in the parental home as some sort of failure. Do you? 0345 606 0973. The figure for women is much lower. And I'll tell you what I will do on this phone-in. I'll invite you to tell me why you think that is. Why would there be... So the figure for women is closer to a fifth. 22.1% of women the same age are living in the parental home. It's gone up by about 10% in total across both sexes in the last decade. But it's still, for those of us who left the parental home relatively early, it's still surprisingly high. Well, I thought it was surprisingly high, given the... looking at the messages coming, and most people, I don't know whether you were cheating or not, most people actually guessed a third, and a few people went higher. But it is much higher than it's ever been, and it's much higher among men than women. So that's phone-in number one. Why are there more men living in the parental home than women? I think I'd have thought it would be the other way round. As the father of daughters, 0345 606 0973. And you can't say, they've moved in with their boyfriend or they've moved in with a partner, because their partner is likely to be in more or less the same age range as them. So why would there be more women leaving home than men? 0345 606 0973. That's not the main phone-in. 14 minutes after 11 is the time. The main phone-in is... Well, you know what it is. What's the classic phone-in on this programme? Well, the present tense version of the classic question on this programme. The original question is this. What was it like? But the present tense version of this question is, and if you've got no idea what I'm talking about, I apologise for sounding completely weird. But if you do know what I'm talking about, hopefully you just had a nostalgic smile. I won't tell the story again about where this question comes from. Even my own colleagues are shaking their head at the prospect of that. What is it like? From both points of view. I'm going to introduce the word failure to the conversation, but with the caveat that it's no longer a word I would apply. What is it like to still be in the parental home as you age, as an adult? 0345 606 0973. And what is it like to have them at home? Would I be alone in wondering whether, if a child is there through necessity, they are going to be less happy about it than a parent who rather likes having the nest full? I don't know. I mean, everybody's going to be different. That's what phone-ins are for. 0345 606 0973. I don't think sugar daddies are going to be a major factor, David, in the first question about why it is so much higher among men than women. But, hey, it's on the board. It's currently a vacuum. All answers are free to move into it. But what I want to know is what it's like, from the parent's point of view, to have them still in the nest, and from the chicklet's point of view, from the child's point of view, to still be in your childhood bedroom, presumably, even though you're now well into adulthood. I wonder if you've still got your Pamela Anderson posters on the wall. 0345 606 0973 is the number that you need. What's the reason for the disparity between men and women? But perhaps more interestingly, I think certainly to start with, more interestingly for me, what's it like? And finally, complete theory, but do parents like it more than the adult children do? Or is it the other way around, or is that a stupid question? 0345 6060 973.
James O'Brien on LBC.
20 minutes after 11. A couple of interesting theories on why there would be so many more men than women still living in the parental home as they head towards, or indeed be into, their 30s. Aaron suggests that girls and women are more likely to leave their hometown for university. Well, that is their experience in a northern town. And then they're less likely to move home once they've completed their course than the boys and men are. I mean, that's entirely anecdotal. Doesn't mean it's wrong. But I don't think it makes particular sense. Are girls measurably more likely to go away to university than boys? I don't think they are. There might be something in the numbers not coming back, but I don't think it's enough to explain the disparity, the entire disparity. 33.7% of men, aged between 20 and 34, still living in the parental home, but just 22.1% of women. And that's question number one. Why that differs? But the big question is, what's it like? Seriously, that's it. If you're relatively new to the programme and you think we just do heavy topics, we don't. I love stuff about social dynamics and change. I love stuff about family. And this question is partly inspired by my being taken by surprise by the realisation in the last couple of days that when my oldest goes back to university, I'm going to be absolutely gutted. And I don't know whether that's quite enough to be wishing that she stays in the parental home until she's well into her 30s. But it certainly has taken me by surprise. Fabian is in Milton Keynes. Fabian, what would you like to say?
Hi there, James. This is my first time calling in.
Welcome.
So basically, I've just been listening to you. I've listened to you for years, to be fair. This is the first time I'm quite happy to get through. But I live at home with my mum and my girlfriend as well. And we also were expecting a child in January.
Right.
And me and my mum had conversations quite a few years ago that it was either I moved out originally to pay rent, and then I kind of through COVID I realised it was just not feasible. So we had the conversation to move back in and help her pay off the mortgage to be able to get the complete house to be obviously owned by us, and then we'll think about buying another property and keeping it within the family. Because obviously, you know, the demographic of just the world that we're living in, it's very difficult for young people to be able to get onto the property ladder by themselves.
Yes.
So we thought to stay in together, keeping the family unit together, paying off mortgage by mortgage, we'll be able to get our portfolio of properties between each other.
And is it working?
Yes, it is. We've got 3, and then we've also got one in St. Lucia at this moment in time that we're building. So we've also noticed that kind of keeping the family unit...
So are you renting out the other 2?
Family members are living in it.
So how big is the family? This is quite a broad family unit, or have you just got a lot of siblings?
This is me. No. I'm one. So it's me, my mum, my girlfriend. My nan's property is now paid off completely mortgage. My uncle's paid off his mortgage as well.
So 5 of you.
Yeah. So at the moment, we're looking to just be able to rent these out later on in our lives. So, and then I will be able to move into another property after we've obviously built up some kind of money.
Do you know what you're a fierce pragmatist. You're a fierce pragmatist. That's the phrase of the day. That's the phrase that popped up during the conversation about doctor strikes, and it fits you perfectly because you've approached it like an engineer rather than with that emotional sense that when you reach a certain age, and certainly when you're expecting your first baby, you should be nesting. You should be making your own nest.
Yeah, it's because of how I've been brought up. Really, I've never been forced to kind of stick with. I should say the common things to do, like the way of life that's meant to be done. Move out by this time, get a job by this time, get a child and this by this time. It's not really what I've been forced to do throughout my life. So I'm very appreciative that my family have not really tried to force me on that way.
And I mean, this is really smart financial planning on a multi-unit level. I've never come across that before. I've only ever seen it on a nuclear level.
We think we need to really think about it because obviously the two-parent household is what the common is nowadays, but you're never in the house to look after children when you're usually having to move out and fend for yourself. So my mum told me stay at home, bring up the child until 3-4 years old, and then you'll be able to be on your feet and to be able to go look for something more secure. Because rather than panicking, trying to pay every bill under the sun, mortgage, you know what it is, it's very difficult at our ages.
This is a revelatory phone call for me. I don't know whether you realised it would be when you rang in, because it's your normality. And obviously, as you look around at your peer group, you'll realise that it's quite an it's a different path. It's a novel path to have gone down. But it sounds like it's second nature to your mum. Is she from St. Lucia originally?
No, she's born in England, but my nan is from St. Lucia. Currently, she's in St. Lucia as we speak, sorting out the property over there.
Let's give her a wave. But
she's listening right now, to be fair.
Is it a more common approach to property and family in St. Lucia than it is here?
I don't think it is.
No?
I don't think it is.
You've just got a visionary mum.
Yeah, I've got a visionary mum and nan. I've got to give it to both of them. I don't know why I'm so gobsmacked by this, but it makes absolutely perfect sense. Anthony says the idea of families siloing themselves off and having to make it on their own as some sort of badge of honour is actually ridiculous. We should be pooling assets and efforts. I could go into the conspiracy side of it, James, but we don't have enough time.
What are the downsides? No,
it's just the fact that I believe when...
No, I don't mean the conspiracy. I can work that out. That's like social conditioning and engineering and making sure and paying the man and capitalism and compound interest. We'll be here all night. But what are the downsides for you at 29 with your baby on the way, living with your mum and your nan?
The fact that I know there's going to be a crying child in the house. My mum's just mid-50s, going towards 60. I don't really want to have her listening to a tantrum child crying and keeping her up throughout the night when she's got to go to work.
What a lovely man you are. I said, what are the downsides? And you thought about the downsides for your mum. What are the downsides for you?
It's her property.
Yeah, but what are the downsides for you? What are the downsides for you?
There is no downsides for me because I'm helping her pay a mortgage off to be able to get a house will be in my name and eventually, and I've got a child, which is family. Everyone wants to be able to build a family at the end of the day.
Well, good luck to you. I mean, seriously, that has never even occurred to me. All move in together until you've got that mortgage paid off, and then get another one and start paying that one off. How absolutely lovely. I've already gone off in an unexpected direction. And no downsides at all. That sounds to me like the sound of a gauntlet being thrown down by Fabian. I suspect that some people living at home think there are many, many downsides. In fact, this is quite bleak from Ty, and I say that, mate, with enormous sympathy. What's it like? I'll tell you, it feels like failure even though I never stop working. I'm constantly trying to juggle life and money and my future. The country is broken for young people. There's no support and everything is so out of reach compared to previous generations. It's hopeless. So as we ended the last hour with two opposing poles of opinion, with a perfect polarity of opinion, sound like Eliza Doolittle there. I'm surprised that wasn't one of her practice phrases. A perfect polarity of opinion, which was given to us by Giovanni and what was the name of the resident doctor who came on right at the end of the last hour. So they provided a perfect polarity of opinion. So Fabian and Ty provide a perfect polarity of experience. Fabian saying there is no downside whatsoever. Ty describing his experience of still living in the parental home as in really bleak terms, and in fact describing it himself as hopeless. So what's your experience? 26 minutes after 11. And why do we think there are so many more men than women still presumably in their childhood bedroom? Jack's in Aberystwyth. Jack, what would you like to say?
Hiya, James. To be honest, Ty said it like in the message there, like because I'm sorry. It's the thing with I feel like I'm the youngest of three. My eldest sister is a nurse and has a family. My other sister owned and run the business, and I'm living back home with mum and dad. I'm just a delivery driver.
You're not just anything, Jack.
I know, James. I get told that a lot, but I shock because when I was 18, I moved out to go and work down south and try and like make some of myself. And basically, I got to a point where all I was doing was working constantly, coming home, not being able to afford to go and do anything outside of work. So I was just stuck in my flat, not doing anything. Yeah. And I don't want to put a downer on the entire situation, but I tried to end my own life because I just didn't know how else to deal with the situation that I was in.
So you'd reached absolute rock bottom.
Literally rock bottom.
I'm sorry.
But
we can't go into detail.
I'm not going to go into detail.
No, I'm sure you weren't. I'm just for the benefit of people listening as well, because it's quite heavily regulated for reasons that are very understandable. Yes. But crikey, I mean, that is, well, in a way, it's moving back home is a happy ending compared to what the alternatives would have been. But of course, me saying that doesn't make you feel it.
That was the thing. Like it basically got to a situation where I sat down with my parents for the first time in about 2 or 3 years since I'd moved out. Because throughout that time, my relationship with them had just deteriorated. I hadn't really spoken to them. I'd borrowed money off them to try and afford to do certain things. My car had completely burnt out, so I had to get myself a new car and stuff like that. And I owed them so much money that I didn't know how to approach them and speak to them in that kind of situation. And when we then sat down, they spoke about everything. They then just said, the best thing for you to do is just move back home. Just come back home and we will sort this out and we will get through this. And literally, one of the main points for me to move back home was that I was going to be closer to some of my friends from school and everything. The funny thing was, I moved back back home, and then literally the day I moved back in, COVID hit. And I was then stuck in lockdown. And I couldn't see my mates. But I will say, getting this job as a delivery driver, I've been doing this job for 5.5 years. This job saved me, along with my mum and dad, let me move back in because, like, working through COVID, just doing deliveries and stuff like that, I was at least out and about and helping people. Like, for that 1 year, I was a essential worker.
Yeah, of course you were.
I don't feel like that now anymore.
I'm sorry to hear that. No, I get that. I'm sorry to hear that.
But my relationship with my parents has improved significantly. My dad still occasionally makes the joke of, when are you going to move out, son? Please move out.
But he is joking.
Obviously. But my mum, my relationship with my mum has improved significantly over the last 4 years.
And as a consequence, partly of that, so has your mental health.
Yeah. literally that.
Top man. You got to crack on, haven't you? That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I know that I wouldn't say that to you if you were in the doldrums, because it would be profoundly unhelpful. But you just got me, mate, when you said you were just a delivery driver. And I'm clearly not the first person who's responded to that by saying that there is no such thing as being just a delivery driver. But I'll tell you what else you are. You're a loved and cherished son. And I presume a great friend to people as well, and a brilliant uncle. And there'll be loads of things you are that actually, when it comes to the great reckoning, are going to turn out to be a lot more important than what you do for your daily bread.
Thank you, James. Oh, stop it, James. You're going to make a grown man cry. Jesus.
Made the Foreign Secretary cry yesterday, so you're in good company. 11:30 is the time. Thomas Watts has your headlines.
James O'Brien on LBC.
It is 33 minutes after 11, and you are listening to James O'Brien on LBC. Young men in the UK, more likely than women to live with their parents. Quite a few people make a point, but Brid perhaps makes it best. I'll tell you what she says in a moment. But before that, just with reference to the last lad for whom an awful lot of love is coming in, Jack. I hope you're still listening. Dried your eyes. An awful lot of love and admiration, in fact. But if you are suffering from similar feelings and experiences perhaps to the ones he described halfway through his call, then do always remember that the Samaritans are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for free. Find them online or call 116 123 if you need someone to talk to about any of those issues or indeed any other sort of problems. 26 minutes to 12 is the time. I like this from Brid. I'm an 18-year-old girl, and I hate to generalise, but my girlfriends, as in friends who are girls, my girlfriends are much more able to look after themselves than my boyfriends. I think girls are made to be more self-sufficient from a younger age and are often given more responsibility in terms of personal care when they are young. For example, periods, concern over appearance, diet culture, etc. I mean, you're living a complex life. Brid, you describe. I mean, again, that's a social flip-flop, right? Well, women would have stayed at home until they were married off back in the day. There'd be some class-based considerations here as well, but I don't think the perception would have been that women were better at adulting. Did you know that the kids have turned it into a verb? That's one of my favourite neologisms, actually, turning adult into a verb. It's sort of, look at me, I'm adulting. But the idea that women are better at adulting, young women are better at adulting than young men, I think is almost certainly true. I don't like the lazier of generalisations, but boys can be a bit useless. Some girls can as well, of course, but is that the reason why? The boy is less likely to be able to cut the old umbilical, the metaphorical umbilical? My first band were called the Metaphorical Umbilicals. I don't know, but that's the best answer we've got so far. 11:35 is the time. And I'm doing a motoring topic next. Only for a guess. Only for a bit. Well, is it a motoring topic? Is it a motoring topic? It's kind of a motoring topic. You know, we never ever do motoring topics. The only time we ever do motoring topics is when we do a slightly surreal and very meta investigation into why motoring topics are so boring. I think we once proved it, didn't we? With a kind of meta, multi-layered, like what are they called? Is it a Matrushka doll? A Matrushka doll of a question about parking tickets. We did actually find at least 2 stories of truly outrageous and anecdotally fascinating parking tickets, but that simply disproves the main theory. So I do have a guest booked for the run-up to Mystery Hour, which may qualify as a motoring topic. That should get that should have piqued your curiosity. John's in Croydon to steer us back to living in the parental home at an age when perhaps previously you wouldn't have expected to. John, what can you tell us?
Morning, James. So my girlfriend and I live in our family home, and
whose family home?
My family home, my father's home.
Right.
But so the parts that I enjoy about it are what I likened it to your researcher is you work with people, and Dave had a cold on Tuesday, and Margaret's trying a new fad diet and so on, and you just intrinsically know about this stuff because you are in their company regularly. So where you might make the effort to go and visit your parents, call them, or your grandparents come down, just being present in the home when they return from work or maybe a night out, or my house on a Friday night can be a real melting point from my parents coming back from some of their friends, Then a little bit later, my brother might come in and join him. But we all get to convene around the family home, see each other, and there's no mask there. There's no, oh, well, I won't tell them this. No, we see it. If you're having a bad day, I can noticeably see it, and I can try and pick you up. And that sort of support network is unbelievably important, I believe. And then if you go
This
further,
is one of the sweetest things I've ever heard. This is lovely.
Well, even to go further than that, James, in a few years' time when we plan on having children, we've got built-in carers. But a few years' time when they
you
get
may have
even
spoiled
older,
it slightly there, mate.
but when they get a few years older and they need
they've got
carers,
carers too.
lo and behold, we are still here. And then, obviously, your previous guest alluded to the financial benefits. I myself own a flat, and my girlfriend and I rent it out, and we're looking to buy another one. We wouldn't have this sort of financial freedom or ability if we had moved into our own home. And to be quite honest with you, look, we've got a bedroom that's en-suited, which gives us a bit of privacy. I know not everyone else will have the benefit of that. However, to go and get our own home would cost us thousands of pounds more every month, whether we rent it, bought it, shared ownership, whatever government scheme we do, and we'd only gain a small kitchen out of that and a living room, and we would lose a lot of our financial power that would hopefully enable us in later life to
you make a brilliant case, but I think you're a bit like me. If I don't interrupt, John, you're going to take us all the way up to the 12 o'clock news. When you were 18, I think you're 26 now, you said. When you were 18, were you planning to live somewhere else?
Well, obviously you have visions of your life going a certain way, family unit and so on built in there. But one thing you often say, and I think this is something that I don't know where I've inherited my thinking. Maybe I had a previous aristocratic family that I don't know of. But you often talk about those people and how they're able to think in hundreds of years' time. Yeah. They can plant the tree, never seeing the benefit of it, knowing that it will benefit their family in the long run. And I tend to look at it in such ways and enjoy the sort of things that you're so keen to move out and get your own independence, responsibilities and so on. I think actually
and we never stop to wonder why. We never stop to say, why am I conditioned to do this? Why do I feel that the next milestone, the next destination on this conveyor belt is non-negotiable? And you and other callers have actually realised that it isn't. It's not cast in stone that you have to live your life like this, and it may actually be not a compromise, but better to live like you're describing.
Well, I hope so. And I think, look at the royals, ultimately. They are always, you imagine the Prince of Wales, the title as opposed to the person now, will always be waiting to the king and always be playing that sort of second fiddle, but know he's got an important role, something to maintain. And look, they're living in wonderful trappings and everything else. I'm not comparing it to that.
It's a big old house.
On a smaller scale, on a smaller scale, if you can do that for your family and set you on, that's what they have. I know the benefits of not having all the rest of it. I'm not going to get into the monarchy system, but trying to sort of use a little bit of that stewardship and focusing on the family as opposed to your individual self and fragmenting because you want to...
Mate, I like it. I mean, you would have lost a bit of the room when you outed yourself as a landlord. You know that, but that's actually incidental to what you're discussing because you've chosen this way of living for the benefits. I think it
qualifies me because it means that I've actually exercised the chance to buy a property. I have the financial means.
No. I'm not necessarily talking about myself. I'm just saying that landlording, being a landlord, is actually making it harder for your generation to get onto the property ladder. But that is not in any way knocking the gloss off the joys of the cohabitation, the generational cohabitation, to coin a phrase that you've described in rather glowing terms. Ruby wonders whether the female halves of the partnerships that we've talked about who are both living in the male partner's family home would be as upbeat or perhaps enjoy it quite as much as the men do. But you're entitled to ask that question, Ruby. It is 11:41. What we haven't done is apart from sugar daddies and boys being a bit useless, we haven't got a clear line on why young men are much more likely to stay in the parental home than young women. But I'll tell you something else John reminded me of. He reminded me of a philosophy called long-termism. I don't know if you're familiar with the philosophy of long-termism. It isn't quite what he described, the idea of... planting trees is the example I always use. You're planting trees. You're not planting them for your own enjoyment. That's why he referenced the aristocracy. Because if you're planting trees, you're thinking about your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren, and you're confident they're going to be living in the same house because that house has been in your generation, in your family, since the Doomsday Book, in the case of most people who own most of the land in this country. This brings us back to the royals, of course, which John also did. But long-termism is a broader embrace of a philosophy whereby all decisions that you make should be judged by the long-term consequences for the entire human race, indeed the survival of the human race. So you might even be thinking in terms of hundreds of thousands of years. And that is a philosophy practiced by somebody who is also the answer to the question of how we're going to be doing a motoring topic in about 5 minutes' time that isn't really a motoring topic. Have you worked it out yet? Can you work it out yet? No? Okay. That's how a hook and tease works. Ronald's in Hitchin. Ronald, what would you like to say?
Hello, good morning, James.
Hello.
I've got a son who lives at home. He's aged 30, and I'm a bit like you, actually. One of the reasons why I stay is because I don't want him to go. Where, like my wife, should be willing to kick him out straight away. But one of the reasons why I think answers your question, not to all youngsters, because it's an environment I think they enjoy.
Yes.
As you said, it's harder to get onto the ladder at the moment. But what benefits him, and the part of the agreement is that any money he works, he saves. He doesn't have to pay us. He puts into a building society or whatever, and obviously saves. So come at a time when it's the right time for him to get the ladder, he's already got money up front. So he doesn't need to worry about anything else. He does nothing around the house because I do it all for him, where that's why my wife gets a hump with me, obviously.
For doing too much dadding.
That's right. Which I ain't got a problem with that.
Well, he's your mate as well as your boy, isn't he? So it's quite nice to have him knocking around the place. Did he ever leave? Has he been there throughout? Has he been there for the duration? Or did he leave and come back?
No, he went abroad for a couple of years. He did work abroad and come back, earn some money, but obviously to get on the ladder, but obviously that opportunity wasn't there. So again, he's staying at home, and then obviously COVID came in, which some people have obviously forgotten. So there was nowhere to go. So if you're already at home, you were staying at home, or if you were at home, you obviously got home, so you had somewhere with a roof over your head.
I love it. I mean, what are the downsides? I think you're going to say there aren't any.
Well, for me, there's not a downside. To his mum, he doesn't clear up the dishes. He doesn't do any washing. He doesn't do any ironing.
Well, that might explain why boys are less likely to leave home than girls as well, mightn't it, actually?
That's what I'm saying to answer to your question.
Yeah,
that's
and protection as well. We're much more protective, perhaps, of girls, so they're much keener to get out of the house than boys. I don't know. It's 11:45, and the relationship between the topics that we never go near on this programme, motoring topics, and indeed the philosophy of long-termism, should all become clear shortly, because we're going to talk to one of the authors of a book called The Tesla Files, the inside story of Musk's empire, which begins with a classic whistleblowing case that you may know about, but I very much doubt you know all the details of what followed. And of course, he has, in recent months, recent years, become an incredibly important political figure as well as commercial one. It's 11:45.
James O'Brien on LBC.
It is 11:49. You are listening to James O'Brien on LBC when, spoiler alert, we're not really doing a motoring topic, although it might very, very loosely get filed under that heading. We are talking about Elon Musk and his empire, his business Tesla. It's a story that starts in November of 2022, when a journalist on Handelsblatt in Germany received a cache of data from a whistleblower, and that journalist, Sönke Iwersen, is with me now. What was in it?
Well, first we didn't quite know, because it was really a stash. It was 23,000 documents.
Wow.
And a lot of them were photographs and videos of screens. But after spending many weeks, we found out that the most shocking, really, documents showed thousands of complaints of Tesla customers about their autopilot. And these people were saying that I was in the car and it stopped. One guy was detailing how it stopped in a tunnel. Another one said, and many more said, they were driving and suddenly the car accelerated by itself. People were driving their children to school, and on the schoolyard it started jumping ahead. or switching lanes, all kinds of strange things. And then we also saw the replies of the customer's service of Tesla, or the non-replies, because these people were having trouble talking to anybody, really.
Right. And you were able to identify some of the complainants?
Yes, everybody.
And was that detail in the original cache?
Yes.
When did you realise what you had on your hands? And I love the fact that Handels Black gives you the time and space to actually do the work, do the digging. You haven't got, you haven't got an editor shouting at you that we need a story tomorrow. You had this. Did you? I hope have the space to really get into it.
Yes, we have this investigative department that we started now 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And yeah, we don't have to write every day. We can take weeks and even months to write stories like that.
The new book, The Tesla Files, which you've co-written with your colleague Michael Verfurden, I have an image of you both sitting in the office just every now and then just shouting at it, oh my God, and just look, you thought you'd found the big... We've got... How many smoking guns can a single building contain?
It was amazing. I mean, it was so amazing that for the first 2 months we didn't, or first 6 weeks I'd say, we didn't believe that any of this was real.
Right.
It just seemed to be too good from a journalist's viewpoint to be true.
How much do you know about the collation of the information? Because it sounds as though somebody had profound concerns for a long time.
Well, the whistleblower who gave this to me was a fanboy of Elon Musk.
Wow.
In his own. He even called himself a disciple of Elon Musk. He's from Poland, but he traveled all the way to Norway to start working at Tesla because he thought Tesla was the best company in the world and Elon Musk was the best and the most visionary icon businessman in the world. And then he found out that it was quite different.
Wow, so he has that sort of narrative of betrayal running through, personal betrayal running through him.
Personal betrayal, yes.
And then you start interviewing, I mean, things take an obviously sinister turn when you start interviewing people who lost loved ones in road traffic accidents involving Teslas.
Yeah, that was also, they claimed that the autopilot was responsible. Tesla claims that it wasn't so, that it wasn't the autopilot's fault or it wasn't even activated. But yeah, we did have those talks, and of course those were very hard talks if you talk to somebody who's lost his husband or wife.
And they still haven't had satisfactory answers to many of their questions.
Exactly. Tesla will claim there is no data. Well, you have to see that Tesla, what Musk is claiming, that the data collection of his cars is the one fact that makes them better than any other cars. That every single kilometer driven is making the cars better. The data is being sent to the mothership. That's how the Tesla insiders...
Constantly improving.
Yeah, constantly improving. But in the case of doubt if the autopilot may be involved in a mortal accident, then the customers are told there is no data.
Oh. How... I mean, I suspect that this is a question that you need half a book to answer, but how intrinsic to the information you were exploring and the environment in which these things occurred is the actual personality of Elon Musk? Because it's already appeared. You use the word disciple to describe the whistleblower's previous position. You need to be a particular type of person to inspire discipleship.
Yes, I think everybody told us, everybody we talked to for this book, Musk is Tesla and Tesla is Musk. It's one unit. He sees himself as the Messiah. Not just for his company, that's maybe a different topic, but for humankind. He wants to, not only make electric vehicles to be the standard on the planet, he also wants to take us to Mars with his other company, SpaceX. And we see training material that's not an accident. We find in the book or in the stash of files, we find training material where it specifically says everybody should think about how they can incorporate Elon's DNA into their daily work. So it goes that far.
I don't know why the words Bond villain just appeared in my mind, James Bond villain, when you said that, but that's an extraordinary egomania that you describe.
Absolutely. He's the emperor, and nobody dares to question him.
So how did you just personally respond when, presumably a few months into starting this book, he pops up next to Donald Trump?
Yeah, that was a wild ride. So we start writing the book in April, and we say, okay, we have to do this in the chapter 1, and then that in chapter 2. And we thought, because Tesla had problems in 2024, significant problems, and things looked bleak, and there were so many investigations going on, and we thought, okay, the last chapter we save for like a bleak outlook, a doomsday outlook on like the fall of Elon Musk. And then in July, Donald Trump gets shot, and a couple of minutes later, Elon Musk decides that that's the candidate he's going to back, and then he pumps $300 million almost into the election campaign. And he states during this process that the reason why he's doing so is to make sure the Democrats not win, because if the Democrats win, all these investigations into his company, specifically Tesla, will continue and will hamper him, will slow him down. He wants to put somebody in the White House who will stop the investigations.
So motivated originally entirely by self-interest, what do you think explains his then enthusiasm for what became known as Doge, for gutting public services and robbing the poorest nations in the world of desperately needed support and aid? Does that fit in with your perception of his personality? Or his motivation?
You're right, he's cutting US aid, but he's also cutting the budget of the very institutions that are investigating him. So that kind of open corruption we have not seen before, maybe in some other countries, but not in the US. Just kind of really making sure you buy the politicians and then get into this position to stop them from investigating you.
What do you think the falling out? I mean, you probably know a lot more about Elon Musk than you do about what drives Donald Trump, but were you surprised by the scale and the speed of the falling out between the two men?
Not really, because like I said, for the book we've studied Elon Musk's life. We started at his birth basically, and followed his life all the way through, and he has this giant ego. And
it means sometimes the complicated questions do have simple answers, don't they? Yeah. And that's the biggest answer of all.
Then you have two people with a giant ego. They don't really fit in the same room. For a while we thought, okay, both of them know how much the other one can help them. But as it turned out, Elon Musk was thinking, maybe he thought, he has said about this deficit cutting that that's really, really essential and necessary, and he presumably was hoping to actually do this, and then Trump comes out with this bill which is not going to cut the deficit but increase it by $3 trillion or something, and then he felt betrayed. Yeah, and as we have seen, anybody who criticizes Trump will then feel the backlash, and Trump is now considering slashing the tax benefits for electric vehicles and all kinds, even deporting him maybe.
Well, yes, the surreal doesn't really come close, does it? And we should note that today Tesla's second quarter profits slid 23% as the sort of Chinese rivals kick in and the consumer backlash bites. He's too rich to ever really be in trouble.
Yes.
But his own perception of success is under threat at the moment, perhaps.
I think he didn't really envision this, that the backlash of his political involvement and helping or pushing for all these right-wing parties in Germany, in the UK. He advocated for Tony Robinson to be under the British neo-Nazi to be taken out of jail. And he said the right-wing German party was the only hope for Germany. And he didn't anticipate, I think, that the backlash against his political actions would find his business. I've talked to a guy a couple of weeks ago, a very rich guy, who loved his Cybertruck, a US guy. But then he told me, I sold it. And I said, well, if you love the vehicle, why do you sell it? He said, people kept spitting on it.
Wow.
So
I think Robinson would probably object to the description of being a neo-Nazi, but you're certainly right to remind us that Musk was agitating for his release. What happened when the book came out? It came out in Germany in March. The lawyers must have been through this with several fine-tooth combs before, and a lot of it had, of course, already appeared in Handelsblatt, but by no means all of it. And a book does tie together themes and stories. But what's happened? Has Tesla responded? Has Musk responded at all since it came out?
No. At the very beginning of our reporting and research, for every article we write about anybody, we always confront and ask questions. And we did send, I did send Elon Musk personally and Tesla as a company 65 questions in May 2023. And what came back was no answers, but a threat, a legal threat that this data was stolen from them. And if we use it, there would be legal consequences for us. But we went to print and we never heard from them again. And Musk has never reacted to our reporting again.
And I mean, the English language publication, it's out in this country today. Is it out in the States?
Not yet. That'll be in September.
So that might be another interesting moment when American readers get hold of the book. British readers can get hold of it today, the Tesla files. A quick word, I'm late for the news, but a quick word on what this long-termism philosophy is.
Yeah, he subscribes to that. He's like you said in the program earlier, that you should care about not only the humans around you, but the humans who live in the future. And long term, in this case, means Musk explains that we are a mammal. The humans are a mammal species, and the mammal species is around on the planet for 1 to 2 million years, and we're now 300,000 years in. So long term for him means another million years. And he will argue that if his autopilot software can reduce, which he claims it can, reduce car accidents by 90%, that'll save 1 million years a year. And then long term, and then you come back to the present and say, well, I want to try, and nobody else does this, I want to try out this autopilot software on the road in real life. And if it takes, he would argue, presumably, okay, there's a couple of deaths, but if 1,000 people die or 500,000 people die, how does that compare to the billions of people I'm saving with this in the future? And so let's do this as fast as possible because it'll be the most beneficial way.
Good Lord, I just felt a light bulb ignite above my head. It's a utilitarian approach where the greater good is determined by the survival of the species.
It's a little bit like the church will promise you great things in the afterlife, but you have to do this and this and this
in this life
right now.
Collateral damage, price you pay for this glorious species-based future. I've seen him described as a man who wants to save the world, but only if he's the one who gets to save it.
He has this, I mean, there's video of him talking about superheroes and being they really want to save the world, and you can see it in his eyes that he thinks of himself as such.
I'm incredibly late for the news, but this is a fascinating book and you're a fascinating man. Congratulations on the quality and the depth of the work. Final question, you don't have to answer it. What did you think when he did that salute?
Well, it kind of falls into place. He's advocated and helped right-wing people before. That was very crass to do that and then claim it wasn't what everybody saw it was. It just shows that he thinks he can do anything and get away with it.
Well, there's not a lot of evidence yet that he can't, but this book may be part of the process of challenging that perception. Sönke Iwersen, thank you so much. The Tesla Files by Sönke and his colleague Michael Verfurden. The inside story of Musk's empire is out now. Mystery Hour is next. It's 12:03.
James O'Brien on LBC.
7 minutes after 12 is the time. If that sounds a little late, it's because it is. But well done in the meantime to everybody who did something I should have done towards the end of that last interview, as Sönke explained the motivation of Elon Musk. Lord Farquaad from Shrek should have sprung to mind. Did for you, didn't for me. My bad. But Mystery Hour is upon us, your weekly opportunity to achieve the sort of satisfaction not ordinarily available anywhere else on your radio dial. If you have a question, then somebody else has an answer. So tell me what the question is and we'll find out hopefully what the answer is. There is a prize for the favourite contribution of the week. Unfortunately for you, the management's decision is final. I get it. I choose it. And it is a Mystery Hour board game. A brand spanking new, shiny Mystery Hour board game. You can find the full terms and conditions for the competition at lbc.co.uk and you can find out more about the board game at mysteryhour.co.uk. We we've flogged a few books there for Sönke, judging by the number of people messaging me to tell me that I've certainly got rid of some audio books as well. I mean, it is an extraordinary piece of journalism that you may have been across elements of, but the book at times reads like a thriller as well. 7 a.m, what the hell is going on? The ringing turns into pounding. Halfway to the door, he hesitates, moves to the window, peers out. His stomach drops. Tesla has found him. That's the experience of the whistleblower that Sönke was telling us about a moment ago. But here we go. 9 after 12. Mystery is upon us, and I don't think we need to beat about the bush, or any bush, any further. Chris is in Hemel Hempstead. Chris, question or answer?
It's a question, please, James.
Carry on, Chris.
So, I was diving in the Mediterranean last week, and I've been fortunate enough to dive and snorkel in the tropics, in the Barrier Reef and Fiji. And when I was there in the tropics, the fish, you're diving every colour of the rainbow. It's beautiful.
Yes.
When I was in the Mediterranean, not so much. And when I've been in the water and fished around the UK, they're just really dull, brown and grey. And I was wondering why, in the tropics, the fish are so colourful compared to when you're not in the tropics.
I mean, isn't it obvious? Is it not obvious? Is it obvious? Isn't it obvious?
Oh, well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking the question.
It's camouflage, isn't it? I mean, the seas get less colourful as coral, that beautiful coral reef, all the colours of the rainbow appearing there. So if a fish wants to hide in it, it needs to blend in with the background. You get to the Mediterranean, it's a bit greyer, a bit duller. So the fish that are less likely to be predated, the ones that survive.
I don't know, but I would have thought, being a bright colour, you might used to be predated, aren't you?
Not in the tropics. Because of the corals, I may be overreaching a bit on the corals when I just say it's because of the corals. Yeah. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But cast your mind back to when you were in the tropics, and forget all about the fish, and tell me how colourful it was.
It was very colourful.
Oh, there it is then. Bing, bing, bing. Correct answer by me. Don't you think? Don't you think that is an evolutionary survival technique?
You may be on the money, James.
I think I am. I might take a round of applause on that. In fact, I'm going to. Round of applause for me, please, Keith. Thank you, Chris. No qualifications whatsoever, except a passing acquaintance with evolutionary science. And that, I think, is often the most likely answer to why animals are different, why similar animals are different in different environments. Oof. If I'm wrong, Steward's Inquiry it is on 0345 60 60 973. Has this fella, asks Bruce, talking about Chris, seen Finding Nemo? I did find myself thinking about that as well, but I couldn't remember what the film was called, which takes us back to the second topic of yesterday's show. Lexi's in Manchester. Lexi, question or answer?
It's a question, please, James.
Yes.
I was watching the football last night, and I was wondering why the women had their first names on their jerseys more than their surnames on their jerseys. Some of them had surnames.
In the Germany-Spain game?
Yeah, the Spanish.
Do our women do that?
No, they've all got the surnames on.
That's what I thought. Did the Germans do it, or just the Spanish?
I only noticed on the Spanish, because my first name is Alexia, and that was on the back of their shirt.
Could it be... I'm doing it today, aren't I? And it sometimes gets on people's nerves when I try and answer everything myself. But quite a lot of Spanish surnames are very long.
Possibly.
That could be it.
But a couple of them had the surname on, not the first.
Are they short surnames?
I didn't notice that.
Well, I mean, not to make...
Lopez was on, I think, was on.
Pretty
Tina
short.
was on.
Pretty short. I think the answer might be, if the surname fits on a shirt, you go with the surname, but if it doesn't, you go with the first name.
Okay. Oh, does that work in male football? Because you only tend to see the surname on there.
Spanish ladies' names are longer than Spanish men's names.
Okay. I'm not convinced.
You're not the only one. But I think the germ of the correct answer must be. And does Lauren James? What does Lauren James have on her shirt?
No, she has James.
She does have James on it, does she?
Yeah, I've never noticed it in any other. I've watched loads of the games. I've only noticed it with the Spanish.
It could be very common now. There could be a relatively small number of... Virgil van Dijk has Virgil on the back of his shirt, doesn't he?
Possibly.
Well, maybe they're just allowed to choose whatever they want. Anyway, I'm certainly not giving myself a round of applause for this one, but well spotted. Brazilian players do it as well a bit. I don't know. Can you have whatever you want on the back? Can you choose? Does a player choose? Why is it different from country to country? Lexi, thank you. 12:13 is the time. Alex is in Enfield. Alex, question or answer?
I have a question.
Carry on.
Okay, so if you give your right foot a massage, and you properly dig your thumbs in, like properly good massage right into the soles, then, so says your right foot, if you compare your right arm with your left arm, your right arm will be longer, like 2 or 3 inches longer than the left arm.
2 or 3 inches?
Yes.
Shut up.
Yeah.
What to say it like that? Like, yeah, everyone knows this except you. So you've stretched your right arm. I don't think it's got anything to do with massaging your foot.
It's something to do with releasing the tension.
In your arm? Or in by massaging your foot?
Yes.
It's not just stretching your right arm, because it's quite a strenuous exercise to do to massage your foot in that fashion.
Well, this is why I'm on Mystery Hour. I'm after an answer.
All right, clever clogs. Well, I'm questioning the parameters of your question.
Okay.
Apart from yourself, have you conducted any research into this?
Have I massaged anyone else's foot?
No. Have you asked anyone else to massage their own foot and then perhaps measured their arms afterwards?
Well, I was told this. I went to an evening class for not foot
This
massaging.
is turning into a Tony Hancock sketch. Go on, what happened at your evening class?
All right, so it was at a drama school. I don't know if I can name the drama school in London.
Of course you can.
Okay, so Central School of Speech and Drama. It was an evening class for Voice for Performance.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it was great. I would highly recommend.
What are you trying to say?
Well, there are options.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so, and then the teacher told me about this. She said, right, because it was one of the techniques for getting your voice, for some reason, releasing the tension helps the voice, and it's all connected in weird sorts of ways. And then she said, compare your arms, and then she was right. It was like one arm was longer than the other after you massage one foot.
Well, I can't test it now, because I'd have to take my shoes off and everything, and I'd probably headbutt the microphone. And
I'm not going to say get Keith to do it.
Well, he could do it, couldn't he? Why not?
Well, not your foot. He could do his own.
No, I know. Why is he saying he said no? Why has he said no?
Well,
no, you don't know why he said no. I'm talking to him at the moment. I admit that wasn't immediately clear. I admit that wasn't immediately clear, for which I apologise, Alex. But 2 or 3 inches seems like a lot.
Well, they say that.
It's all relative. 12:16 is the time. You're listening to James O'Brien on LBC. So I've done the fish, but you can have a steward's inquiry on that. And if you massage your foot with your right arm will end up a couple of inches longer for a while, apparently. Why? It's 12:16.
James O'Brien on LBC.
It is 12:18, and you are listening to James O'Brien on LBC. How many people are or have just tested out Alex's theory, I wonder? I wonder who has done it in the least appropriate situation. If you are on a Zoom call or something and you thought, I might just be able to get away with this without anybody noticing what I'm doing. There we go, just giving my foot a massage. And now I'm just going to see how long my arms are. Problem is, you'd need a mirror for that, wouldn't you? Do you want to hear something almost unbearably middle class? Okay. The first time I did Pilates, my body, she showed me. So I looked in the mirror before, and I had one shoulder higher than the other. And then I did an hour of Pilates, and my shoulders were level again. So, you can do sort of meaningful changes physiologically by doing certain exercises, but whether or not that is one, I do not know. And if it is, then I want to know why. A couple of phone lines free, actually. I don't know what happened there. 0345 60973 if you've got a question of your own, or if you can answer Alex's, or you've got a steward's inquiry on the fish question. John is in Fleet. John, question or answer?
It's another question, James.
Carry on, John.
It's another football question, unfortunately.
Why is that unfortunate? Can you come off speakerphone, mate? Get yourself off speakerphone if you would. There's a reason why they tell you that. They don't do it for fun. Carry on, John.
I wasn't on speaker. I was on headphones.
Okay.
I've taken those out now. Is that better for you?
Much better, yes. I can hear your voice in all its beautiful complexity, John.
Excellent.
What's your question?
So, just sort of northwest of London, there's a place called Boreham Wood, I'm sure you've heard of.
Yeah.
And Boreham Wood is all one word. But the football team from Boreham Wood is Boreham Wood. It's 2 words.
Oh.
Why is that?
Oh. Any theories?
It would be a bit like your sort of Kidderminster being known as Kidderminster Football Club, not Kidderminster.
I like you're
Club.
doing a little Harold Pinter tribute act here with your pauses, aren't you, John?
Sorry.
So, no, I like it. I mean, it changes it. So Boreham Wood is 2 words for the footy and 1 word for the place.
Yes.
I've never known. I have never ever clocked that before.
I've no idea why.
How long is it? Well, obviously you haven't, otherwise you wouldn't have rung Mystery Hour.
Yes, hopefully there's a Boreham Wood fan listening that can give us the answer.
I mean, we play. I don't think I've ever been to Boreham Wood.
Have you not?
We were in the same league in 20...
Couple of seasons ago, you went down the same time as them.
That's exactly right. They beat us. They beat us at home, and we drew, I think, away.
I wouldn't be able to go into that much detail. You're better than me.
I just googled it, and I'm allowed to Google it because I'm not trying to answer the question. I was just trying to remember when we last played Boreham Wood. All right, you're on. Yeah, that is quite strange. I like it actually. Why is it Boreham Wood 2 words for the football team, but 1 word for the actual place? 21 minutes after 12. It may be, if I were to speculate, it may be that it was originally 2 words, and the town name changed for ease of communication and signage or whatever, and the footy team stayed the same. I don't know. Thank you, John. Robinson is in Richmond upon Thames. Robinson, question or answer?
Question.
Carry on.
I was wondering why when we get cold, when the weather is very cold, we do, I think it's called horse lips, like... Because rubbing your skin makes sense to get your temperature up.
Yeah.
But what's the evolution advantage of doing that?
I think you might be the only one who does it.
No, you can look into movies, sports.
Brrr. You go like that. You go brrr.
Yeah, you go like brrr.
No, you don't. You don't do brrr. You go brrr. You roll your tongue. Brrr, not brrr.
Well, I've seen it in movies, and myself I've done the lip.
I think you're doing it wrong, mate.
In the movies as well, then.
What movies? What movie?
I don't know.
It's not fair. It's not a fair question. Name the movie now, or I will call you a lie.
Exactly,
it's not that kind of it. Really? Well, I mean, any friction would create a bit of warmth, wouldn't it?
Sure, but I mean, rubbing your skin, it makes sense, and in evolution, it works, but
that works as well. I mean, it's friction. It would work in the same way that rubbing works. It's as if you're rubbing one lip with the other lip. Hello to everyone who's just tuned in at that precise moment, isn't it?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's going to warm you up.
Sure, it makes sense, but not as much, and it doesn't. Do you really think it will warm the air that is coming through your mouth when you? Why don't we then rub the nose? The air comes through the nose.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions here, Robinson. I'm going to try and get you an answer. I'll try and get you an answer. Why do we do that? I mean, I've never heard it called horse lips before.
What's the name then? But you know what do you call it when people do like then when they're cold?
I don't know. I mean, horse lips works. I wondered if it was a translation from another language when you called it that, but it wasn't. It was just a sort of improvisation of your own.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
It's not an idiom. Is it a Spanish idiom, perhaps, or something?
Yeah. Well, no, actually, no. But
no.
Yes, I speak Spanish, but no, we don't say no.
You don't say horse lips, or what would be horse lips in Spanish?
Labios de caballo.
That was a Spanish one.
Yeah, I could hear the accent, the difference in the accent.
I don't know. I don't even know what the question is, but if you think you can answer it, 0345 6060 973. A quick shout to Callum, who I think got to the joke a bit quicker than I did when I said hello to everyone who's just tuning in at this precise moment. He just wrote, James, what's happening? Which is a very fair question. Chez is in Burnley. Chez, question or answer?
Hi, James. It's a question, please.
Carry on, Chez.
Okay. When an insect is on a vertical wall, not moving, if it unfortunately passes away, does it drop to the floor straight away, or does the magic of its suction power remain for a certain amount of time?
Well, I mean, you'd have to be a fly on the wall in the room where it happened.
Boom, boom.
I'm here all week. Try the veal. So if a fly dies while walking up a wall, does it...
It's stood on a wall, still.
Yeah, all right. Does it stick to the wall, or does it drop off the wall?
Yeah, or how
does
long
it fall
does
off
it
its
stay on the
perch?
wall for? How long's that?
Well, you're only allowed one question. You're only allowed one question. I think it would. I think it would stick because it's a substance that makes.
How long for then?
Oh, well, I don't know.
We're getting this question a bit narrower now, eh?
You are. You're focusing in like a laser on this one. This is a forensic mystery. How long does a dead fly stay stuck to the wall it was on when it died?
Absolutely. Well done, James. And thank you for everything that you do throughout the week.
Thank you very much. Well, that's very kind, actually, but this is the bit I think I enjoy the most, Ches. Thank you. Thanks to questions, in large part, thanks to questions like yours. 0345 6060973. I thought the fly on the wall gag deserved a bit more, actually. But hey-ho. Richard's in Darlington. Richard, question or answer?
Yeah, hi, James. It's a question.
Carry on, Richard.
Okay, I was, a few years back, working with Harrier squadrons, fighter jet things.
Oh, yes.
And when the pilots press the button to release their ordnance, and it has to be done at a specific time, very planned, they say the word pickle.
Pickle?
And I wonder why they say the word pickle. Where did that phrase come from?
So when I'm dropping a bomb, I would say pickle.
Yes.
Pickle. Who to?
Pickle.
Pickle. Who? Boom. Who to?
It's all recorded, so if they're training...
Oh, I think we lost him. So for the tape, then they're not saying it just to their co-pilots or to each other. They're saying it to control, but they're just saying it, aren't they? They've got their microphone on. They're in a plane. They've dropped a bomb. They say pickle.
Yes.
At the precise moment of pushing the button.
Yes.
So you can see why they might want to be saying something at the precise moment of pushing the button in order to establish the fact that they are at that precise moment pushing the button.
Yes.
But why pickle?
Why pickle?
Why pickle?
Pickles in a barrel.
It's on the board.
I don't know.
It's on the board. Oh, pickles in a barrel. Pickle going. A pickle back. I don't even know why we're thinking out loud. It's not as if we could ever go definitive on this. Richard, thank you. If you know the answer to that question about why a pilot or a bomber dropping a bomb, releasing some ordnance, would say pickle at the precise moment of pushing the relevant button, then ring 034560600973. Finbar is in Salisbury. Finbar, question or answer?
It's a question, please, James.
Are you down a well?
Hello?
Hello?
It's a question.
Carry on.
Hello, it's a question.
Okay, is it a question?
I've just come back from... It's a question.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello, what?
Hello, I just come back from Malta.
Oh!
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. I think
can
you might...
hear me?
Are you still in Malta? Are you in Malta?
Yes, I am. And I got bitten by mosquitoes.
Oh Lord, I think you've got a fever. Can we sort this? I think Finbar might still have his radio on in the background or something. I can only keep this up for so long. Can we try and... I think we're having some technical issues. I'm not even making that up. I promise. It sounds like a punchline, but are we having some technical issues on the phone lines? Oh. Okay, well, can we get Finbar back then? I'll see if Kavita in Guildford has a better line. Kavita, question or answer?
Question, please.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I've just got back from Malta.
Oh.
What's your question, Kavita?
Hi, James. So my question is, why do your eyes water when you drink fizzy drinks too quickly?
Is that I mean, again, it's a bit like Alex's question about his arms getting longer. It's like you know that this happens to you. Have you ever established that it happens to other people as well?
It definitely does happen to other people. I'm pretty sure.
What, is it the bubbles making their way up your sort of eye pipes?
I don't. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, you're on.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen when you're having. If you still drink too quickly, your eyes don't water.
No. It's only fizzy drinks.
You're on.
If I drink a lemonade too quickly, my eyes start watering.
Well, I never. How quickly is too quickly?
Like immediately.
Just like guzzling it down, gulping it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we shall try to find out for you, but it's taken a bit of a turn, Mystery Hour, this week. 12:30 is the time. Technical issues notwithstanding, we will be back after the very latest headlines with Amelia Cox.
James O'Brien on LBC.
33 after 12. You know what we forgot to do, don't you? We forgot to do the laugh out loud guarantee. That's always the way. Oh dear, why am I mentioning that? Well, Alder's been in touch even to say this is a particularly hilarious episode of Mystery Hour. I am wetting myself, laughing all the way out here in Grenada. Thank you, Alder. 12:33 is the time. Finbar's back from Malta.
Hi there.
Hello, you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
So what happened then? Could you? What was there, an echo or something? Was there an echo or something?
No, I think when you rang back, it was perfect. I don't know what happened when I rang you. I was doing as commanded, but must be something from my phone.
Well, you live. Where were we? Apart from Malta.
Before I say that, while I was waiting, I just thought, I'm glad you didn't say it, one of the most powerful Irish music bands of the 70s were called Horselips.
Horselips,
so I'm really glad you didn't. I'm really glad you didn't say I was in a band called Horselips.
No, because that would have actually been a mistake, wouldn't it? And because there was a real band called Horselips. Yeah, crikey. God, I've got my jokes have got like terms and conditions with them now, Finbar. So you got bitten by a mosquito.
Yeah, and every time I've been to Portugal, Croatia, every time I go, I seem to be attracted to them. What I was wondering...
Well, they're attracted to... I just to clarify, I think they're attracted to you.
I think it's a mutual love, actually.
Oh, okay, carry on.
No, I was wondering if I actually lived in one of those countries, would they become bored with eating meat? Would they stop eventually, or would the diet that I take... Because I do suffer very badly.
How interesting. I mean, are you quite pale-skinned, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I mean, typical sort of redhead, freckly, Irish. Yeah.
Well, there was a clue in your name, Finbar. Wasn't there?
Right. And the Horselips reference.
Because we're quite a pale family, but we don't all get feasted on by mosquitoes. I'm just thinking back to the last time we were in Greece, and one of my daughters had a particularly bad night with bites, and a lovely lady at the next table had a couple of like traditional remedies, one involving vinegar, and just giving her some advice on what she should do that night before she went to bed, which means that they certainly have that you're never going to be immune if you live there. You're not, right. But would you become less attractive to mosquitoes if you lived in a hot climate?
Yeah,
I don't know why, Finbar. But I love that question.
Thank you.
That's
I also asked you previously the question about the dead squirrel when they sent the dead squirrel pictures to you. I'm responsible for that, I'm afraid.
No, well, I still occasionally get sent pictures of dead squirrels, and on Blue Sky, and I did on the other place when I was still on it. But I do. It takes me a minute to remember why. But thank you, and dead pigeons as well for the same reason, I think. Finbar, stay safe. 12:36 is the time. Mosquitoes, watering eyes, pickles, flies on walls, horselips, borum wood, and Alex's long arm. Any of them? 0345 6060 973. Nargith is in Canning Town. Nargith.
Hi there.
Hello. Question or answer?
Question, please. I'm absolutely shaking because this is the first time I've ever called in.
Wow.
But I love your program and I listen every day, not every day, every Thursday religiously.
Thank you. What's wrong? What do you think I'm doing all the other days?
I do
have to spoil it.
I'm
just keep turning that off.
With Mystery Hour. It's
right.
absolutely amazing.
So this is an appointment to listen, but the rest of the week you try to listen whenever you can.
Exactly that.
That's absolutely fine. Carry on. What's your question?
But listen, this is going to literally, I'm shaking.
Go on.
So yesterday, I'm a driving instructor, so I'm around the roads all the time in East London.
Yeah.
Teaching all these people how to drive.
Yeah.
Now, yesterday, and while I'm teaching them, sometimes I get a bit distracted, so I'm looking at beautiful trees and the nature and all of that.
Oh, you need to watch that. You need to watch that. What if they drive into a lamppost or something? You've got the emergency brake.
I've got peripheral vision. I'm really good at this.
Right,
I've got experience.
Yeah.
Okay. I spotted bright pink fuchsia coloured pigeons.
Shut up. Whereabouts?
No, seriously. In Canning Town.
Canning Town?
I just Google mapped it right now. Yes. So Prince Regent Lane was the exact spot. There was 2 of them on one lamppost. I've sent your person that I spoke to before
Eleanor.
the pictures and videos. They don't do justice to the beautifulness of them. They were bright pink.
I can see them now. I can see.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not a drill. There are
It's
2
not.
bright pink pigeons on a lamppost in Canning Town. Sounds like a George Formby song.
And I was just in awe. I had to get the girl to stop, pull over, and I was like, I need to get out and start recording this because this is something extraordinary. Now, I don't know where they've come from. What are they? Has someone just gone around spray painting them? Because that was my first...
Well, no, it would be.
But they're so beautifully coloured, it's impossible. With my naked eye, I could see it better.
I mean, there are 2... there are several possibilities here. One of which is that you're hoaxing me with these pictures and you've somehow... you've somehow photoshopped them or something like that. But
No,
I mean, you'd have to be
impossible.
extremely good at it, I think, in order for that to have happened.
It is absolutely crazy. These are raw footages.
Raw
I snapped
footages.
them.
That was the name of my first band.
Yeah.
I've... they're definitely not parrots.
No. I zoomed in. I'll try and send more pictures on the WhatsApp link that I've got.
Can you try and do that? And I'll post them up on my Blue Sky so everyone else can see them as well.
Yes, because I've actually got quite a few. And
Well, send us the best
I don't even
ones.
know what to say. They were just absolutely
No,
amazing.
they are. I mean, did you say fuchsia, didn't you?
Yes.
Fuchsia pigeons. I'm going with pink because I like alliterations. Did you ever see a pigeon that is pink? Think. Did you ever see a pigeon that is pink? Well, now you've seen the pink pigeons. You've seen the pink pigeons. Was the whole pigeon pink? The whole pigeon was pink. It wasn't just a bit of pink plumage on the pink pigeon.
No, it was fully pink, and it was pinker than a flamingo pink.
Pinker than a flamingo pink. And was it all over pink, or did it get pinker?
If you saw, if you see the pictures, there's also 2 other pigeons in between each pink one.
I know.
So
I'm looking at them now. There's a grey pigeon, and a pink pigeon, and a grey pigeon, and then another pink pigeon.
Yes. I mean, I've seen parakeets as well, and I've taken pictures of them, but they're a bit more, they're starting to get more common.
10 a penny round my way.
Anyway.
10 a penny round my way, the parakeets. I mean, seriously.
There's quite a few.
There's loads of them.
But this was a pink pigeon. I was literally shaking, like, what is this? This is stunning. And honestly, it's made my week.
Well, I can see why. And the sooner you get us the pictures, the sooner I'll get them up on the board.
I thought, do you know what? I'm going to call you, show you, and see if I can get online.
And you did?
Show the world, because this is an absolute rare beauty. I believe it's rare because I'm always looking and I never see a pink one.
Well, I've never seen a pink one, except in your pictures. Well, this is extraordinary. James tells me there's been one spotted in Darlington as well. I mean, other people were in Canning Town yesterday, so it might be some sort of festival or celebration, but I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it before. Right, we'll find out for you.
I just want to know where it's come from. What is it doing in Canning Town? That'll be a good one.
Absolutely, the pink
We'll
pigeons.
have to ask the pigeon.
We'll get the pictures up. Are you in the middle of a lesson at the moment? Is there someone driving?
No, I'm running late to my next one, but I gave you priority, James.
Well, take care and make sure you concentrate fully on your next client. Thank you, Nargis. What a lovely question. What a lovely laugh as well. It's 12:41, and the pink pigeons. Are we going to be able to get them up during the next little break, or get them up before then? We shall. Oh my days! Look who's on the line. Keith, we should have a sound effect for this. Professor Hal, where have you been?
James, my dear chap.
Where have you been?
I'm right here. Well, I've been bumping around and finding gainful employment.
Are you
yes,
okay?
What a pleasure.
Yeah, I get asked more about you than probably any other caller. Where's Professor Hal, they say? And I don't know is often my response. I mean, we're still mates on Facebook, so I've got a fair idea of what you've been up to and where you've been bumping around, but you haven't had time for us, which is absolutely fine, but we have missed you.
Well, we're putting it right today, aren't we?
Let's go. Question or answer?
I thought I'd comment on the fizzy drinks making your eyes water one.
Oh, yes.
This is 90% fact and maybe 10% theory, but anyway, whatever. The gas that makes sparkling drinks sparkling is carbon dioxide.
Yes.
And if that dissolves in water, it makes carbonic acid. And that's how we carry carbon dioxide around our bodies. So pressurized carbon dioxide going through your eustachian tubes will temporarily drop the pH.
Going through your what?
Eustachian tube.
Is that the correct term for eye pipes?
It's the one which goes from your throat up towards your tear duct.
Yeah, I called them eye pipes earlier, I believe, which is actually correct term, but not the correct term.
Okay, let's run with eye pipes then.
Yeah, it goes up your eye pipes.
Yeah, and temporarily makes your tears more acidic, and then your body attempts to readjust the pH by pumping more tears. It's the same with when you're slicing onions. You get a sulfur compound that makes your tears into a lacrimator, like CS. So I think that's the answer. It's the CO2 dissolving to make it more acidic, so your body pumps more water.
Kavita probably didn't even dare to dream of getting such an academically enhanced answer. That's a thing of beauty, isn't it?
It's the appliance of science.
It's the appliance of science. Qualifications, Professor Howell?
Hitherto, I was Professor of Public Understanding at the University of Brighton, but now I'm a visiting professor at a rather more shy institution who shall remain nameless.
God knows. You've come on Mystery Hour and left us with an even bigger mystery than the one you solved.
Where does Professor Howell work?
Where does Professor Howell work? Round of applause for Professor Howell, please. Any idea how many that would be now?
I don't know, and it doesn't matter. Each one is as good as the last.
That's the spirit. Don't leave it so long next time, mate.
All right, thanks for having me.
Hey, you take care. See you soon, I hope. It's 12:44. You're listening to Mystery Hour with James O'Brien on LBC. It wasn't a flamingo, it was a pigeon. I have seen the pictures, and I am endeavouring to embrace the technology that is necessary for me to share the pictures with you before we return after this.
James O'Brien on LBC.
12:47. You're listening to James O'Brien on LBC, where Mystery Hour continues. We are turning the pink pigeons of Canning Town into an actual news story. The web team are working on it as we speak, I hope, but that doesn't help me see them. Why is that? Why should I not have said that? Oh, well, they might not do. They might not. Nargith has very generously shared her pictures, but there is quite a lot of news around at the moment. But if you know the provenance, the origins of the pink pigeons of Canning Town, then you can ring into Mystery Hour and possibly win a Mystery Hour ball game, although you'd have to do well to get ahead of Finbar and Nargith so far, and others, including Alex, who is actually taking a trivia-based comedy show to the Edinburgh Festival later this summer. If you want to get yourself along to that, then I've just shared a link on my Blue Sky page. Alex Love, how to win a pub quiz. Going up to Edinburgh later. Anyway, quickly, get on with it. Bruce is in Peterlee in Yorkshire. Bruce, question or answer?
It's an answer, James.
Carry on, Bruce.
The pickle for the Bombers.
Oh, yes.
Right. I should point out that my missus deserves all the credit for this answer.
Okay.
So, but she won't for then.
Oh.
Right. So they had the US Air Force had a thing called the pickle switch. And what it was transfer system to switch quickly between guns and bombs.
Right.
And the inventor bragged that he could drop a bomb in a pickle jar from 20,000 feet.
So you have to announce when you're pressing the button. And pickle would be
basically we're switching to bombs now. I've hit the pickle switch.
Yeah. Okay, I like qualifications for your wife.
Qualifications for my better half is that her father was in Bomber Command during the end of the Second World War and worked very closely with the US Air Force.
That's pretty strong. Round of applause for Bruce, I think.
It?
Well played, mate. And please be sure to pass that.
Round of applause for Kirsty.
Please, yes, I was going to say, you be sure to pass it on to Kirsty. Thank you very much indeed. I like that one. That's a nice one. 12:49 is the time. David is in Norwich. David, question or answer?
Answer for you, James. It's about the names on the back of football shirts.
Oh, yes.
Now, the situation was, I think it came in about 94 that names became on the back of a football shirt for identification for TV and everything like that.
Right.
And also to make a large amount of money because kids want the names on the back of the shirts.
Not just kids, mate.
It was indeed. It was about 10 years or so after that. I think the rules were changed, at least in the UK, where you could have another name, possibly a nickname or a first name on. Which, tell you what, made a hell of a deal if you were printing up the former Hartlepool and Middlesbrough goalkeeper Dimi Konstantopoulos' surname, where you went from having Konstantopoulos, which went all the way round the numbers.
Yeah.
to just having gimme across the back.
Well, because you pay per letter at most clubs, do you?
At some clubs, you used to.
Yeah.
Not the case anymore, as far as I know.
Guys, bad news for Vennegoor of Hesselink fans.
Or just in Barnwell, Edinburgh. Barnwell, Edinburgh went really well. It actually reached down to the bottom of the numbers.
That's amazing.
Going round in the curve.
Well, so does Vennegoor of Hesselink. I can't remember who he plays for, but I read an article about where his name comes from.
Really?
Yeah. Is he Dutch? Vennegoor of Hesselink.
Yeah, he is.
Qualifications?
Used to be a kit man.
Did you? Who for?
Friends who, a football league club who just aren't even worth talking about, mate.
Was it owned by a well-known chef?
No.
Oh, so it wasn't your local club then?
No, nothing to do with them. I have no time for them at all. So.
No, down with them. Why won't you tell me which club it was? You don't have to. I am stumbling into something here. I'm getting out quick. Give him a round of applause.
That's not.
No.
Cheers.
Is that what? With that and Professor Hal, everything's turning into a mystery. It's a mystery of mysteries. Mystery. Ollie's in Bramley. Question or answer, Ollie?
I've got an answer for you, James. After all these years, I've got an answer.
Yes. Carry on.
Brilliant. So it's for the fly on the wall.
Oh, yes.
Now, bear with me. You know Spider-Man?
Not personally.
Oh, I thought you would.
Look, it's not like that with celebrities, mate. We don't all hang out with each other at the weekends and stuff like that. I know a lot of civilians think that's how it works, but I've never even been round Spider-Man's. Well, yeah, of course I get Spider-Man.
Yeah, so your secret's safe for me, mate.
Yeah,
I was looking into it a few years ago because I started wondering how does Spider-Man stick to walls?
Yeah. And
then found out that with with Tobey Maguire grows those tiny hairs in his fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So spiders have them too.
Yeah.
And it's similar in other insects of similar kind of build.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not that there's like a
sticky
secretion or something like that. Yeah. Nothing sticky. It's even though they stick, but yeah, it's an electrostatic charge which is created from those hairs between the creature and a dry surface. So where it comes to gets the question of the fly sticking to a wall if it's still alive, where the muscles eventually relax if it's on a dry surface, then that tension, that charge is then lost because the muscles relax in the legs. Yes, but then, so you think of it, you probably, you're a very clean fellow, I imagine, but you see with curtains, you might get a fly kind of stuck to your curtain.
Because it's gone both ways.
It's still hanging on.
So how, on a nice, clean, flat wall, which is what Ches was envisioning in his question, how long do we reckon?
I think it's a case of once sort of like rigor mortis, that kind of thing starts to set in for the fly.
So we're not going to be able to put a date on it. Ches wants numbers, mate. I'll tell you that for nothing. He wants numbers. 6 hours, a day and a half, 3 years.
I think it's within a rough. I'd imagine about an hour or so, because they're only small things and. Yeah, the long for the floor.
All right, that'll do. Qualifications, watched Spider-Man and did some research.
I'm a writer in a sense, and I was looking into it for my own evil doings.
Well played, mate. Round of applause for Ollie. Thank you. Dave's in Kemsing. Dave, question or answer?
It's an answer, please, James.
Carry on, Dave.
Pink pigeons.
Pink pigeons. Did you ever see a pigeon that is pink?
I have. Actually.
Oh, carry on.
It was called...
Dave.
John? You lost me, Fred, then.
That's all right.
Fred, it was called.
Fred. Oh, Fred, you lost your...
Pink pigeons, they're deliberately dyed. I'm not sure, I've not seen the ones in Canning Town, but it's all part of this gender reveal fad.
Is it?
Yes. And I know this. My daughter-in-law works for an events and wedding planning company, and they've been asked to do it a couple of times.
Wow.
And so she said that they use, because I quickly spoke to her, they use a water-based vegetable dye, which is harmless, but I don't... Your producer sort of said about whether it's ethical or not, but...
Yeah. I bet she did.
I think
the RSPCA are a bit worried about it, actually.
I think, as I say, it's one of those that...
But there's been a gender reveal in Canning Town, So someone opened a box and 2 pink pigeons flew out, and that announced to everybody present that they were having a little go.
That's it. And normally, obviously, they retrieve them and everything else. But obviously, now and again, they might fly off in the wrong direction. And
pigeons are quite likely to. I mean, this is quite weird. Did they catch a pigeon? Did they catch a pigeon?
No, they're normally sort of like the doves and things like that they use. So they're quite sort of
fancy,
domesticated. Right,
but these two
friendly,
got away.
So they don't normally go far, but sometimes, as I say, in that case,
absolutely fascinating. There it is. Qualifications? I know you've told us, but tell us again.
Yeah, the daughter-in-law works for an events and wedding planning, and she said it's sort of something that's creeping up. People finding new ways to gender reveal rather than using balloons or smoke or whatever they used to use.
Who knows, eh? God, blimey. Yeah. Have a round of applause, Dave. I love that. Hey, as well, give my regards to Fred as well next time you see him.
I will do.
Thank you, Dave. Cheers, mate. Doug's in Brighton. Doug, question or answer?
It's an answer, James.
Carry on, Doug.
Okay, it's on the subject of Finbar being fish of the day for mosquitoes.
Carry on.
They won't lose appetite to eat him. They will continue to find him very, very tasty. However, over time, he may think that they've lost appetite for him. Because when a mosquito bites you, it injects an anticoagulant, which makes the blood flow up its proboscis quicker without clotting. And it's the anticoagulant that your body produces a histamine reaction against, which gives you the itchy bite. Now, the longer you're in a country where you're being bitten by mosquitoes, sooner or later your body will become tolerant to that a particular anticoagulant, and your histamine reaction to it will get less and less and less.
So the bite the bite will just have a less violent reaction to the bite. There won't be a reduction in the number of bites. What a perfect answer.
So Finbar will continue to be munched, but he just won't notice it.
I love this. Qualifications?
I studied paleoentomology when I was at university, and we spoke about maggots last week.
I remember. You're becoming a regular, Doug. We like that. Have a round of applause.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Raymond's in Boreham Wood. Question or answer, Raymond?
Sadly, it's an answer.
Well, sadly, we love answers. We're here for answers. Life is answers.
Exactly.
And also questions. Exactly. Go on. Well, I can guess which one it is. Is it the one about Boreham Wood, Raymond in Boreham Wood?
How did you guess?
I don't know. I'm clever like that. Go on. What have you got?
You've virtually got the answer yourself before.
Did I?
Boreham Wood Football Club was founded in 1948, same year as I was founded.
Gosh.
And back in those days, it was known by 2 separate words. It was Boreham Wood, known to the locals as Boreham Stiff.
Yes.
However, the club itself was just known as the Wood. When I moved into Boreham Wood about 30 years ago, it was still, a lot of the older people there still called it by 2 separate words.
Yes.
But the railway station is actually all one word, and people just started writing it as all one word.
Do we know whether that was a mistake made by British Rail, or?
We don't know, because interestingly enough,
great story. Go on.
Elstree Film Studios is not in Elstree; it's in Boreham Wood.
I did know that. Actually.
But the railway station is called Elstree and Boreham Wood.
Yes.
And in fact, a few years ago, about 10, 15 years ago, the council actually got fed up with this and decided they wanted to call the whole town Elstree. But the posh people in Elstree didn't like that, so they talked about calling it Elstree North and Elstree South.
Right.
But then they just gave up and they said, "Oh, sorry, we'll be Boreham Wood."
I think we'll let that pass. Did it join together immediately, or did the 2 words get closer and closer over a period of time?
Well, when I first moved in there, I used to write it as 2 separate words.
Well, I never.
But over the years, people have just got into the habit of writing it all as one word and saying it.
Perfect
we all
answer.
say it as Boreham Wood.
Boreham Wood?
Yeah.
Boreham Stiff. Qualifications? I lived there for 30 years.
Good enough.
Round of applause for Raymond at Boreham Wood. It's very hard to pick a favourite this week, isn't it? I mean... Nargith. I'll give it to Nargith, all right? The pink pigeon lady of Canning Town. It is nearly 1 o'clock. That's it. Is that the best mystery hour ever? Or certainly one of the best in a very long time. Thank you for that. If you missed any of it, you can listen back on Catch Up on Global Player and indeed the LBC app, where you can stay up to date on all the top stories and opinions. You can put your news categories in the order you want. You can pause and rewind live radio and listen to a range of podcasts. Download the official LBC app for free from your app store now, featuring an exclusive article by the Prime Minister as well. Coming up at 4 on LBC, it's Tom Swarbrick. But now it's time for Sheila Fogarty.
James O'Brien on LBC.